change of pace.
Welcome to the Change of Pace podcast. This is Rohan, and I'm joined by Sai and Sahil. Today, we're going to be going through each of the 30 teams' big off-season moves. We're still like halfway through free agency, I think, but there's been some decent splashes. As a Warriors fan, still waiting for the Kuminga trade. But since we last talked, there have been some interesting moves and signings that we want to go over. We're thinking of going through it team by team. Some teams did more significant changes than others. Let's start off with the Atlanta Hawks. We talked about the Kristaps Porzingis trade in our most recent podcast, but since then they also signed Nickeil Alexander-Walker. I think we might have touched on that as like a rumor before, but it's official via sign and trade. They also signed Luke Kennard, another really good signing for me. I think these guys all fit around trade really well. It's just nice having shooters and athletic wings on this team with Reece and Jalen Johnson, adding Kennard and Nickeil Alexander-Walker. I really like the additions. They also lost Clint Capella. We can get into that when we talk about the Rockets, as well as Karis LeVert, Larry Nance Jr., Cavs legend, who joined the Cavs again, and then George Niang, Terrence Mann, part of a 3-team trade. What do you guys think of those moves?
Yeah, I can start with the Nickeil Alexander-Walker trade, sign and trade. This was a 4-year, $62 million deal, and apparently Trae Young was really recruiting both of these guys, both Kennard and Nah. Out of the media, the role player free agents, Nickeil Alexander-Walker was probably one of the main prominent ones, and I think that really addresses a need. Obviously, wing defense has been kind of the concern with Atlanta for a while. They got Dyson last year, but they've needed to build a competent defense around Trae Young, and I feel like this move pushes them in that needle as well. I think another problem with this team is kind of off the bench when Trae is not on the court. They don't really have a real ball handler initiator um, without who can actually create offense for them. And I think Luke Kennard also addresses that. He signed for a 1-year, $11 million deal. So both these signings really address needs for the Atlanta Hawks, and they've been really pushing. While this East is kind of down with the Celtics, with the Pacers, with the Bucks, kind of spiraling.
Yeah.
They're really making some moves to kind of go all in, not spending too much, right? They only gave up a pick in the Porzingis deal, but they've gained 3 really good role players for a roster and now look kind of poised to be at least a top 5 seed in the East.
Yeah, if I'm the Hawks, I'm looking at the East and I'm like, I can get home court advantage in the first round.
For sure.
And, if Porzingis is healthy, I think as long as you get Trae Young to buy in to what they're doing, like Tyrese did with the Pacers, you can really create something in the Eastern Conference. They were first in shot quality in last season, and second in 3-point openness, but 19th in percentage. And then you add Luke Kennard, you add Porzingis, and you add NAW, and all three are very good shooters, open shooters, especially from the corners. Porzingis from above the break, Kennard from pretty much everywhere because he's knocked down, and then NAW from the corner, right corner he was 51%, left corner 44%. And those looks will be a lot more open with Trae Young. As long as he buys in, you have Dyson next to him to kind of quell some of those defensive deficiencies that Trae has. This team is pretty scary, especially because you can play Porzingis and Onyeka together. That's
Yeah.
that's so much size. It's kind of like how the Cavs have Darius Garland at the 1, and who's I think he's a better defender than Trae Young. But he's still small, and you get kind of funnel. They have to do is funnel the opposing players into the paint, and then you have Porzingis or Onyeka waiting for them. I mean, that's a scary team. I like what they're doing. I think if they're third seed at the end of end of the regular season, I wouldn't be surprised.
It could total no 100%. I think the Pacers example or the comparison is very accurate, right? I mean, they made a team perfectly fitting around him, and then someone like Nickeil Alexander-Walker on a good shooting night, he could totally close for you over Dyson Daniels. And he's very long. It's a great fit next to Trae. I guess my question is like, Sai, you're talking about getting an initiator off the bench in Nickeil or Luke. I feel like they still don't have a real backup point guard though. Like what is it, Kobe Buffkin? Maybe like was
I
there? It
think
was
it's
last
Kennard
year.
here.
Is it? He's gonna play point? I don't
I
know.
mean, he can really ball handle. I think he's a better shot creator than people give him credit for. And
That part is
so I
true.
think
Yeah,
at
I don't
this
know if he's a
point,
better playmaker though.
yeah, I mean, maybe you kind of rely on Dyson, who also has some point guard chops.
Yeah.
But I think the combination of the two is better than what they had before. Yeah, Kobe Buffkin's probably the other guy, but we haven't really seen anything from him lately.
No, yeah. They have really like 8 really, really solid players on that. Like really like their top 8 is really, really good. Is it even top 9? It might be top 9. I don't know.
I
But
kind of
yeah,
feel like I kind of feel like they're a sleeper team for one of these vet point guards like Russ or CP or Kyle Lowry or Ben. I don't know if Ben Simmons is we even count as. I don't even know what the hell he is anymore. But
yeah,
something of that archetype of player they could really use just
yeah.
to somebody who can dribble the ball up the floor. Because like against playoff pressure, I'm not trusting Luke Kennard to bring the ball up.
Yeah, like I'm trying to think. I feel like I don't know what you prioritize for your bench right now, like another wing, or if you want a point guard, because
Personally, I think they
yeah,
need another wing because
yeah,
I mean, Dyson can be a wing as well, but I really think they're putting a lot on Shea for being their only small forward, and I think that's just not enough. As like he's a rookie, he's 6'10", big, but like him and Jalen kind of their only wings at the moment. They don't really have a backup. Knock can service that role
yeah.
too, but it's
That's
really
what I was
just like
thinking.
smaller wings. I feel like they need another power forward type. They have like
Yeah,
Mo Gay off the bench, not really
yeah.
like
He's big
not
too, huh?
he's a big dude, but
Yeah,
I don't think they have that like backup for. I think Kennard's a serviceable point guard in my opinion. I don't know. Maybe you guys
yeah.
disagree.
I was gonna say I really like Reese Shea. Um I think off ball prowess is like very important in today's league,
Yes.
especially playing off
Mhm.
Trey. And he's a type he had a couple games this season where he scored 30 points. Clay Thompson-esque on like less than 10 dribbles, right? Like
Yeah.
very simple offensive flow from him. And next to Trey, that's really important. So like I don't hate their tandem of Jalen Johnson and Reese Shea, honestly.
Oh, I like it. Yeah, yeah.
I would more look at the guards in the free agency and see what they can pick up.
Off the bench.
For
Yeah, we'll
sure.
see. Okay. Anything
Do we
else on
want
the
to
offseason? Go on.
do we
Yeah,
want to
go
like
ahead.
grade the off seasons of each teams?
Oh,
I feel like that would be a good idea.
yeah. I mean, for me, dude, I couldn't have scripted a better offseason for the Hawks. Like a team that kind of in the last few years has like been very irrelevant, like in purgatory. I would give them an A. Like this is the most
Yeah.
you could possibly do in the offseason.
Yeah, me too. I don't think there's any conversation, honestly. It's like
No.
we didn't care about them like 2 months ago, and now
Yeah.
we're talking about them as home court advantage in the playoffs. Like the
Yeah.
front office has done a great job.
Yeah, I agree. I think also they're working the draft, getting Asa Newell, who could be that
Yes.
four. He's more of a 4 or 5, I feel like. So I don't know if he serves as that like bigger wing role, but and getting that Pelicans Bucks best of pick for next year, like that's amazing work by their GM. They just got a new GM, right? Who's done really excellent work.
Oh, did they? I
So
don't know. Okay.
yeah, they got rid of Jarvis Landry, I think. So,
Dude, you know Grant Liftman is their assistant GM, and he was a Warriors.
no, dude, Jarvis Landry is a football player. What's up?
Carl
Jarvis
Landry.
Landry used to play in the Redskins, right?
Yeah.
Or the Washington football team. No, you know Grant Liftman. Side, do you know Grant Liftman? He
No,
used to do Warriors pregame. Like 5 years ago, he used to do it like starting COVID, and then randomly he got a job with the front office, and then he got promoted to assistant GM. That's a crazy career trajectory.
wow.
That's gonna be you. Okay, let's continue.
Injury Fields,
So
my bad.
Landry Fields, yeah, yeah, fuck. Hey, Kings legend. All right, let's continue. Let's move on to the Brooklyn Nets. I think we should just start off with the Cam Johnson for Michael Porter Jr.'s swap. I believe they also got a first round pick out of it, correct?
Yep.
From this.
They got
So
an important first round pick.
yeah,
2032 Nuggets pick,
Nuggets. Yeah.
which
So
Jokic will be 38 and
old as
probably out
fuck.
the league. So that is an asset for sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, how do you guys feel about this trade?
Well, are we talking
Um,
about the Nets perspective first or the Nuggets perspective?
I say
I
Nets
guess not. Yeah,
perspective.
from Nets perspective, yeah.
I don't hate it. I think in combination with their drafting, I'm like down on their offseason as a whole. But I feel like this is a team with a lot of cap space. This was probably the only team with a lot of cap space in this offseason. And they kind of went for asset acquisition over like getting good players. And I think that's a fine route to go. I do wonder if there was other routes to get more assets. Like I felt like the Terrence Mann went in the part of the Porzingis deal when they got Terrence Mann in a first round pick. Like I feel like later in the offseason, there's so many second apron teams who are just trying to shed salary. You could have gotten more assets from
Mhm.
them. So I feel like this was a good acquisition there. I think this is good value for Cam Johnson personally. I think MPJ is still a good player. I don't think he's a negative asset by any means
Yeah,
and
no,
can
yeah.
definitely be revitalized. After this season, he's an expiring contract, so you can really just redeal him again if you want to, and he could serve a lot of teams because of his elite shooting and rebounding. And So I feel like it's a decent deal. And I think that pick is going to be valuable, especially like you just don't know the state of these teams that have short windows, especially like this isn't a team built for the long term with the Nuggets. They used to have a youngish roster, kind of just getting to the middle age of that team. And by that point, they're just going to be an old team with not a lot of assets. So I feel like it's a good acquisition there.
So what do you think?
No, I really like honestly really like trade just because like Sai said, you can flip Michael Porter. He has a $40 million expiring contract, which is very valuable in today's league, especially with saying second apron in play. So I think when we look at this in 2 years, it'll be we traded Cam Johnson for a 2032 Nuggets first round pick and whatever we got for Michael Porter after that. So I mean, and we know they were never gonna be anything next season. So I think like I think it's better than getting two middling picks for Cam Johnson from like a contender like OKC or something like that, where you're going to be picking in the 20s for the next 2 years or something like that.
Yeah, I completely agree. I feel like that 2032 pick is going to be super valuable. And then Michael Porter Jr. is worth at least, I feel like on the Nets, he and Cam Thomas are probably their like primary scorers. I mean,
That's going to be
Michael
some
Porter Jr. could totally have like a 23 point per game season, right? And at that point, his value only goes up. He was hurt in the playoffs, so his value was at an all-time low. But like you got him, yeah. I feel like they were gonna get rid of Cam Johnson anyway. I don't know what a better trade package would have been, like maybe a couple first rounders, but again, like average first rounders, because you're assuming a contender is giving them to you, and then they might not be long term. Like I'm surprised the Nuggets gave up such a late pick.
and
Um,
they
That's
own
the
their
only
own
one they had probably access to, I
maybe
think. Yeah.
they own their own first. So really we're gonna watch some Cam Thomas and MPJ ball, and I don't even know what that's gonna look like, but I think
pure hoops, dude.
it's gonna be kind of fun. I think it's
Yeah,
gonna be kind of fun. No
zero free throws a game.
no free throws, no defense, none of that's happening, but there's gonna be some cool shots being made, and that's what matters.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's a two like really zero black hole players. So they drafted like four passers in the draft. So maybe it's good to have those guys who can really set up Cam Thomas and MPJ for like those difficult or like easier
It's true,
shots,
yeah.
you know?
The thing is, like, we all have teams that have like championship hopes, and I just know there's gonna be a couple games with like the Nets. You play the Nets, and both of them
Facts.
have 30, and you lose, and it just pisses you off.
I
And
mean,
Yeah.
both of them could have 30 and they'll score 90 points, you know? That's also very possible.
Yeah. I actually really like like I'm talking myself into it more, but I actually really like it from that perspective. I just don't know what like how much better you could have gotten because Michael Porter Jr. healthy is a really, really good player.
Yeah.
So yeah. And then they re-signed Zaire Williams, Darion Sharp. I like Darion Sharp.
I think
And
it's a good
then
deal. They got him for
yeah,
212, 2 for 12.
yeah,
So
that's a
for
pretty
his
good deal.
talent, I think that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, and they lost D'Angelo Russell to the Mavs, and then Trenton Watford, who I actually like as well, left to the Sixers. So smaller changes there. I guess D'Angelo's somewhat of a thing, but I don't think anyone expected him to come back. He was traded for midseason, so whatever. Anything else, guys? You want to touch on? You want to get to grading?
Looks great.
I will give them. Fuck, I don't want to give them I don't want to give them an A. I'd give like a B plus.
maybe I'm a lenient grader, but I'm giving him an A. Like
Yeah,
I'm not upset
I
about
mean,
what done. Then I
I'm
can't.
not mad at that. Yeah,
Yeah, maybe an A minus. Like they haven't blown me out the water,
yeah,
but you did what you had to do.
I'm a lot lower. I mean, because I'm including the draft when I'm talking about off-season grades personally. So
true.
when you consider like the Cam Johnson deal, pretty good deal. I'm not saying it's an A deal. I'd say like a B, B plus. But then
Yeah,
the
that's what I was
draft was
grading
really
this to.
disappointing. You get five guys, three of them who really have overlapping skill sets. And we were able to see what the Hawks were able to trade down and get that Pelicans pick. I feel like there was just a lot of value on the table. If you traded that eighth pick for a guy you probably would could have gotten at like 16 anyways.
Yeah.
So
I'm
I
not,
think I would give him like a C, C minus.
I'm not saying
Oh,
it's good. I'm not saying it's good process, but I do feel like they kind of said like we stink at drafting players. Let's just draft five and
as
hope that
many as
we
you
get
can.
one. Hope we get one or two like good ones. And because then if we look in like 5 years and they have like a two solid players from that draft, like all right, you did what you had to do. And I think they know they stink at drafting. So
That's
Yeah.
fair.
I'm surprised they haven't gotten rid of Claxton yet.
mm.
Like, I don't know. But okay. How about we just move on to the Celtics really quickly? So Celtics haven't had a crazy offseason by any means. I think the notable ones were Drew Holiday getting traded for Anthony Simons, which we talked about, and Kristaps Porzingis leaving. They also lost Luke Cornett, who had a pretty decent playoffs. And then they signed Luka Garza for a 2-year deal. It's not bad. Actually, like that's a decent signing. And then Josh Minot from the Timberwolves, I think, most
Yep.
recently. correct me if I'm wrong. And then George Niang joined from a 3-team trade. Not that much to discuss, but yeah, Sai, what are your thoughts?
I like their offseason as a whole. We obviously saw with Tatum getting hurt, this is not a team that wants to pay the second apron, nor should they. I mean, like when you're at that point, you don't want to kind of handicap yourself in the future, not be able to have any options. So I think what they've been able to do, I liked what their returns have been for the Porzingis and holiday trades. I know Anthony Simons, an expiring 20-year, $25 million contract, like not bad. And you can really see if you like him for your team, especially as a guy who shoots a lot of three with Missoula ball. And then the rest of the guys, minimum signings, like project kind of players. Garza has some potential, Minot has some potential, but I don't think they're anything, to scream about. But it's really just the fact that you're able to kind of shed a lot of salary. They're still somehow in the second apron, I believe. So still have to
Really?
shed a
Okay.
little, like right at the tip, but shut off a little more salary. So I've liked their salary, their offseason as a whole. I'd give them like a B plus.
Okay, Sai, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm with Sai there. Like I understand you're trying to get under the apron, which is like it really just handcuffs you. With JT Howe, there's not much you can really do. Um, I saw some reports about Damian Lillard and links to the Celtics, which I think is
I think that was Centel, dude.
oh, was
Was
that?
actually
Yeah.
I saw a real GM tweet
Oh,
him.
there was
maybe
definitely like multiple. They said there's like 5 teams, like the Wolves, Lakers, Warriors. I think Celtics might have been in
because I
there. It's
saw
not
this one,
surprising for them.
or I guess it's not showing up on Zoom, but Damian Lillard is meeting with
I
the
can't
Boston
see it.
Celtics
Yeah.
by NBA Centel.
Okay,
I saw a
that
report.
probably isn't like the meeting is definitely not him.
Okay.
He's definitely getting calls. I
Yeah,
think
I could
for
see that.
everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Don't know how much I like that fit, but I'm
yeah.
looking at their
2
depth.
guys coming off an Achilles.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I wonder if they trade Derek White, but yeah, I'm with Sai. I mean, they get a B for me as well.
Yeah. I agree. I like the Anthony Simons acquisition. And then yeah, again, not much you could do. I don't know what this team's gonna look like next year. Someone said they think a Celtics fan said JB is gonna be a fucking MVP candidate next year. There's no shot that happens. I don't think they're not gonna have home court. Like I highly doubt it. It's just Derek White and Jalen Brown and Peyton Pritchard's gonna have a career year, hopefully. Yeah. So I'll give them I don't even know, man. I'll give them like a B minus.
Fair.
Yeah. Let's move on to the Hornets. They've had an interesting guard-filled offseason. They re-signed Trey Mann, who he had a really good year after getting traded from the Thunder. That was like what, a year and a half ago?
Yeah.
He's been really good. I think he ended the season with an injury, but they brought him back. Pat Connaughton came from the Bucks via trade, and then they signed Spencer Dinwiddie and they traded for Colin Sexton. So they have a lot of guards on this team. They did trade trade Vasily Micic and then Yusuf Nurkic and Mark Williams. So they lost their bigs and they gained a lot of guards. And Mason Plumlee they got actually. So what do you guys make of this? The Hornets have like, let's see, LaMelo, Trey, Colin Sexton, Spencer Dinwiddie. Might even be
Brandon
missing.
Miller.
I mean, Brandon Miller, I would say more of a 3,
Yeah,
right?
fair.
But he's like a 2. I guess he plays a
Like
2
Nick
actually
Smith.
sometimes. Nick Smith, Nick Smith is there as well. A lot of guards on the team. I did see that, and they have their rookie Nupple.
Yeah.
So
Nipple.
and he was the 4th pick. He's supposed to be good. So a lot of guards. I saw the Hornets vets came to the signing of all the rookies, and I was seeing a bunch of comments like, "Can you imagine having LaMelo as your vet on the team? Like that's wild."
Or
And
Miles
LaMelo and
Bridges.
Miles Bridges, bro.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I hopefully Charles Lee can like I don't know if he has that locker room like a little better, but yeah. What do you guys think of the offseason?
I like their draft. I mean, trading Mark Williams for a couple picks is pretty decent value, especially we like probably saw his trade value drop a lot with the Lakers kind of rejecting that trade offer after
Mhm.
seeing his physical. I am confused about the guard acquisition, like you said. They're down to like three bigs. Like, they signed Mason Plumlee, who's serviceable. They have Cockbrenner, who they drafted in the second round, and they have Musa Diabate. Like all three decent guys, but they're not real. Like all those are guys are backups. Like there's none of them are starting caliber bigs. So a little disappointed in those in their kind of like roster balance when it comes to
Yeah.
position. But overall, I mean, I haven't hated their offseason. I think their draft was pretty decent. They got like, solid shooters and guys with who
Yeah.
kind of play the right way, as you could say. And yeah, overall decent. I give him like a B minus off season.
Yeah, I'm also the roster balance is not what I would like. I think it's just like you're trying to really develop these guys, Brandon Miller, Conklin, and I just feel like without a starting caliber center, you kind of lose a lot of what a good team um just like in terms of how you develop guys, I just don't know how well they're going to develop next with with a starting center being what Kalkbrenner, who's also a rookie, or Diabate. I get training for Colin Sexton, he's expiring contract. Um, so is Nurkic, you know, and I think that I mean I'm not a huge on Nurkic either, and I don't really like what he brings to his attitude generally. Like my similar problem with Aiden, we'll talk about later. Um, but yeah, I'm lower on the Hornets off season. I think that there could have been better moves out there. Even like I like the Mark Williams trade. Getting picks back from is definitely valuable, but I don't know. Something about this is just like I need to be able to see the direction that you're going in, and I don't know what the Hornets are doing. Like, are they building for like 3 years down the line, or are they like why bring in Colin Sexton? Why sign Spencer Dinwiddie after you trade for Colin Sexton? It just doesn't make any sense to me.
I feel like there's no way Colin Sexton is on this team next year. I like he's an expiring contract. It's so easy to trade, which is why like I'll give them benefit of the doubt, I guess. I would give them like a C plus. I still think Colin Sexton has decent value. Like he's still a good player who is a very tradable contract. They got Trey Mann back. I think that's nice, and I like their draft. It's just that the fit is just weird. They just don't have any like big wings on the like off the bench. Um, and I don't. I'm assuming they're trying to win fucking games. Like I don't know what they're doing. But yeah, I'll give them a C plus. Did you get what's your grade, Sal?
Yeah, I give him a C.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to the Chicago Bulls. The big trade here would be Lonzo being traded for Isaac Okoro of the Cavs. And then they re-signed Trey Jones. Nice signing for them. 3-year deal. And that's about it for the Bulls. Um, I would give the Bulls like I'm gonna start off with a fucking grade. I give them a D. Um, because I feel like you've had plenty of opportunities, and this takes history into account. They had a solid core in 2022 that each of those guys should have fetched you at least one first round pick, which means you get at least 4 first round picks for Zach Levine, DeMar, Lonzo, Alex Crusoe. All these guys you should have picks to show for. Like more than that. Like on average, they should get you like 1.25 first round picks. So that should be 5 first round picks. And what did they have to show for it? I don't have the list in front of me, but most recently, fucking Isaac Okoro. And I like Trey Jones back on the team. I don't know what the team is doing. They couldn't get a first round pick for Alex Caruso. I like Josh Giddey. Josh Giddey's still on the team. Um, and Vucevic still on the team for some reason. I don't know what the Bulls are trying to do. They're going to be a play-in team again next year. Like, do they think they have a chance now? Because like the Celtics are hurt and the Bucks are hurt, the Pacers are hurt. I don't know. But yeah, it's a shit. I give them a D.
I also don't know what the Bulls are doing. Just like we just talked about with the Hornets, I don't know what your direction is. Um, I've watched a lot of Okoro Ball, and I really like who he is as a player. It kind of feels like the Nets, similar where they know they stink at drafting, so they're like, why would we trade for draft picks? So let's get like some young guys who have like some small potential upside. Because like
So
for
bad, dude.
for
Yeah.
Okoro, he does have I think there are steps that he can take. He was before he got hurt last season, he hurt his shoulder. He was almost 50% from three from the corners, right? Like he has shown the ability in the regular season to knock down shots, and the Bulls aren't going to be playing the playoffs. So in that sense, he's a very good point of attack defender, like one of the better point of attack defenders in the league. He's like 6'4", 6'5", so he's not really a wing defender, more of a guard defender. Um, but he's positionally very good. So I think in that sense, like I'm guessing that they're just thinking like we haven't been good at drafting. Let's get some guys that we potentially could um like build into something more. But there's just no reason to, especially when last season you could have traded Lonzo for Marcus Smart and a pick or something like that
Yeah.
to the Grizzlies, which turned out to be number 18 in the draft. Like there's just no excuse for what the Bulls are doing. And if I'm a Bulls fan, I'm so annoyed because their front office is dumb as hell. Like just to frankly put it.
Yeah, I got nothing else to say really. They've had what Vucevic still on the roster, can't trade him now.
Kobe
You
White's
know,
still there for some reason. I mean, I
Levine,
don't.
DeRozan, Lonzo. That entire
Yeah.
starting lineup, they haven't been able to trade. I think they got one first round pick, and it was kind of like a swap, and it was just getting their own pick back, I believe. So it's like they really haven't gotten anything from this whole era, this mini era of mediocrity from the Bulls. Very disappointing era for them, but I guess Okoro's decent. Like I think for Lonzo, who could be kind of washed, he was all right when he came back from injury, but I don't think he's anything special. I feel like it's decent value, so I'd say it's like a D plus offseason overall. They're
Also,
probably
Like
gonna pay
what you
Giddy 30 mil. Like that's
also,
another
I
tough
also
one.
just want to say, whenever we talk about the Bulls and like this whole era that they've done, I just can't believe it's off topic, but I can't believe the Sacramento Kings saw what they did and decided that, yeah, let's put
the
LaVine
same.
and DeRozan
Oh my
back
God, yeah.
together again. What the
Yeah,
That's hilarious, dude. Oh my God, that's so funny.
yeah,
I want to talk about the fact they didn't get a first. They could have gotten a first rounder for Lonzo, and I get that you suck at drafting, but what's more likely that you draft like a decent like you think the player is gonna be worse than Isaac Okoro? That's my question, right? That's basically what you're choosing between. You think the player you draft is gonna be worse than what Isaac Okoro is now? I don't know. I didn't make sense to me because Lonzo's been rumored. They were asking for. I feel like they were asking for like 2 first round picks for him for a long time. They were asking for a lot of value,
yeah.
and they never traded him. And I'm sure a team gave them a decent deal, like you said. Um, if you look at the roster, it doesn't look. It looks like interesting. It's like a nice little young roster. They got Josh Giddey. They have Kobe White. They have Io. They have Matas. And then I don't know, Sai, if you did research into their rookie
Noah
Noah
Senge.
Essing, is he good? Like he's German, right?
He's
Or he
French, but he played in the German
French.
league.
Okay.
I mean, he's
How is
decent.
that a
I've
good pick?
I've heard
Yeah.
a lot of people on NBA Twitter kind of like his tools, and he gets to line a lot.
Okay.
So I think he plays well in like a fast-paced system, which got Josh Giddey can kind of handle. So I think, but I feel like he and Matas really overlap in their skill set.
That's true.
So
That sounds like they would.
so that's why I'm just like, it's a good
Low
pick for
key, yeah.
value, but it's just like it is. I'm not super high or super low on it.
I know we talked about like on our chat, like Patrick Williams and Okoro in the same draft. Don't they also have quite overlapping skill sets? Like in theory, they
yeah,
are the same player.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
Isaac Okoro is definitely better, but yeah,
yeah.
they
Which is
you
really
want them to
sad
just
because
be.
Patrick Williams makes like $18 million a year.
Yeah, I remember he wanted like a max. Like 2 years ago, he said he was ready for like some like 30-40 million dollar max contract. Yeah, or extent whatever like the rookie extension was. But I think when if they get rid of Kobe White, if they can get like one young player and a decent first round pick for him, this team will still like they're gonna lose games. Um, and I don't know. Do they have their pick?
Good question.
There's no. Let me see.
I'm gonna say yes. I think that's the trick pick they got. Or no, I think they had this. They got their own pick back for this year, and I think they have a pick next year.
Okay. Yeah, they have their own pick next year. I mean, so it's not, and they have Portland's pick protected. I mean, if Portland makes the playoffs, somehow, it's lottery protected. Um, but I don't. Okay, looking at their roster, if they could trade Kobe White and get a first round pick at like a couple first rounders or a first round pick and a decent young guy and get rid of Vucevic's contract, I think their team is actually like not crazy bad. It's not great either. Like their young talent doesn't seem to have like superstar potential by any means, but like I could kind of see where they're going. But I still think this trade is like I think their offseason was a dud. I think it was a D. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move on to the Cavs. So, okay. So I'll ask you for the grade first. Let me just go over what happened. Sam Merrill came back on a 4-year deal. They of course acquired Lonzo for Okoro, and they got Nance back. They lost Ty Jerome, and then obviously they lost Isaac Okoro. So I know it's a pretty disappointing offseason from our perspectives. What are your thoughts?
I think it really all depends on how you view Lonzo Ball at this point. I'm lower on Lonzo Ball than most people, mostly because he's played in the past 4 years, like 70 games. He's made 80 million playing 70 games, but he's played 70 fucking games. And then you decide to pay Sam Merrill, who great catch and shoot shooter, struggled a bit in the playoffs, but better defender than Ty Jerome. But Ty Jerome was a six-man of the year candidate, and I kid you not, there was like of the 95 games that the Cavs played, I feel like Ty Jerome came off the bench and made his first shot in maybe 50 of those games, and he was so good all season as a shot creator. Now I'm looking at the Cavs roster, and I'm like, I don't know where the shot creation outside of Darius and Donovan is. That third guy. Um, I understand the value of Lonzo Ball. I think that as a point of attack defender, he can be good. I just don't have any trust in him staying healthy. Like, and I feel like that's not crazy to say because he hasn't done it in so long. His knees are pretty cooked. He hasn't played a game since his new wrist injury, which is like a whole nother issue. And he shot like 32% on catch two threes before the wrist injury. I can't
Yeah.
help think that's going to get any better. So now, really, what does he bring to the table? He's bringing some playmaking, which he's a good passer, he's a good connector. Maybe a better connector than Ty Jerome is, but other like he's not a better scorer, he's not a better creator. Ty Jerome also sneakily like not a great defender, but he would create turnovers. He would like those back tap steals. He was pretty good at. Um, if I were to grade the Cavs offseason, I would give it a C, just because I don't think you got better in a conference where you really had the chance to. I mean,
There's great opportunity right now, dude. Yeah.
there's such good opportunity. I like the Nance signing. I think that the Cavs have needed a third big
Yeah.
behind who that's not fucking Tristan Thompson for the last 2 years. But I think the reality is that this Cavs team, this version of the Cavs, has 2 years under this current CBA. So this season and the next to really create something, and then you're gonna have to kind of gut the team. Probably trade Jared Allen for like two mid-level players, and get under because they're so deep in the second apron right now. Like it's ridiculous. I'm not that high on the Cavs anymore, especially without Ty Jerome. He was so important. I think that I think Ty didn't want to come back. He posted on his Instagram that they didn't even give him the option to come back. I don't like signing Sam Merrill, but Kenny Atkinson loved Sam Merrill throughout the season. He would play him a lot more minutes than I thought he should have played. More trust in his defense. And I think that I really hated giving up on Ty in game four against the Pacers. They benched him, and I understand he was so bad. Arguably lost them a game. It's not arguable. He did lose them a game.
Yeah.
Yeah, he shot like 2 for 22 across 2 games. That's killer. But it's his first playoffs. Like if the Cavs give up on every player that had a bad first playoffs, half the team, half the superstars on the team,
The whole roster would
the
just be
whole roster
gone
wouldn't be
except
there
for
right now.
Donovan Mitchell and
Exactly.
maybe
They
Mo.
wouldn't be there right now. So I just don't like giving up on a guy that was so good for you all season that didn't get hurt. Even with his injury history, Ty Jerome does have injury history. He did get hurt. Um, Kenny Atkinson kept his minutes down. He played 20, 25 minutes a game. I just don't get it. But what do you guys think? Do you guys see it in Lonzo? Because that's really what it comes down to.
What I'd say is I don't think it's like a Ty Jerome for Lonzo swap, even though that's kind of what happens in the like you resign. I felt like the problem was you have a Coro who's kind of been like a negative on offense, and you're really replacing hopefully a guy like Lonzo who can be a point of attack defender and 3 and D player in your hopes. Like that's kind of what the idealized version
So
is. I don't
overrated
know.
at this point, man.
I
Like
don't know if he's
calling him
there
a
yet.
3 and D player is crazy. Like he can't his shot is like inconsistent at best. I mean, he shot like 33% from three last year. Yeah, albeit with injuries.
Yeah, very
Sorry to
minimal
interrupt you, but
games.
like I think him in theory is so much better than he actually is. And I don't
Definitely.
think you guys needed the defense. You need shot creation. Like this
I
team
think they need the
struggles.
defense. I disagree.
I
This
don't know. I feel like
Who's their
Isaac
point of
Okoro was
attack and
providing.
defender? He didn't play. He couldn't play.
I
This
don't know,
is
but
at
Now it's
least a
Alonzo.
possible.
chance, a swing on a
But
guy
you're
who
talking
can
about like
play.
Alonzo who's been through like 5 injuries in three
I'm not
years
saying, yeah,
to
that's
be
really the
your
choice you're making,
defender.
though.
Like
Yeah,
you
that's a
trade
really,
for
but
GP2 or something. I don't know if this is the move that
right.
you really need. Yeah.
I think
Sorry,
GP2
go
in any
ahead.
other system is basically a Coro, though. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so that's really the choice you're making. Is it a Coro or Ball? And I think it's a decent swing. I really didn't think Okoro was giving you much, so I'm okay with it. The part where I'm having a problem is taking Ty over Sam Merrill when they're making essentially the
Yeah.
same contract
That's so
per
weird.
year. Like Merrill's a good shooter, like we said, but this team's problem was not 3-point shooting. It was ball handling, creating with other than Donovan Mitchell. And obviously Darius Garland was injured in the playoffs, but I think Jerome, like if he's such a big part of this roster, you don't really have any other shot creation. Like you said, I'm really kind of confused by that decision. So overall, I'd give him a C as well. Like I think I actually like the Okoro ball swing because it's like Okoro is a guy who's not going to play for you. Ball could play for you in the theory version of him. So like maybe you keep him on ice for a bit. This is a really good team in a weak East, and then in the
Yeah,
playoffs you can kind of unleash him like in a Caruso type role for the Thunder.
I do
Oh
think
I
that
wow.
idealized version. I'm not saying
Wow.
it's gonna happen, but because like you're not trading Giddy for him, you're trading Okoro. So obviously like a worse player, but I'm just saying.
I do
Yeah.
think I do understand. I think that in an ideal scenario, I think that Lonzo does get better just because he's on a better team. He hasn't had the opportunity to actually play on a good team.
Mhm.
But the reality is he hasn't played a game in March. since 2021, and we're in the year of 2025. So
That's so crazy.
the thing about Dan Gilbert, the owner, is that he's been so good about spending money. Like he doesn't give a shit about spending money, being in the second apron. That's fine. But they definitely cheaped out a little bit when it came to Ty because they could have paid both if they really wanted. They didn't want to. Um, and yeah, they got 2 years with this core. They still have such good shot to make the finals. Like, you have as long as the core four can stay healthy, it's still a really good team. Um, but I wish that they got better because a lot of teams in the East did get better.
Yeah,
You
but
don't think they could have put
this
it?
was like
Yeah.
the top second apron team. Like they didn't
Yeah.
really have an avenue to get better. I feel like they did what they did, very mediocre in my opinion, like a straight C.
To me, like, was it even possible for them to acquire someone like Cam Johnson via
No.
Without
trade?
trading like a guy
They're,
like Hunter, probably not.
would
Well,
you have done that?
they're also in the second apron, so they can't aggregate trades. So they'd have to be a one
Right.
for one swap. So yeah, it would have been somebody like Hunter. And like, what's the
Yeah. Yeah, I
But
don't
the
know.
thing with that is the Nets can take salary, so you'd probably have to like
Yeah.
trade a big like hopefully Hunter makes more money than Kim. I don't know how it works, the
Yeah.
exact numbers, but
I don't think they address their need that like I just don't like we keep talking about Lonzo playing this Caruso role or whatever. Or like to me, like I get what you're saying, so like it's worth it to just take a chance because Okoro's not gonna do shit anyway. So like
yeah.
who know like just try switching things up, right? But at the end of the day, I feel like their starting lineup is what actually ends up mattering in the playoffs. Like I think Ty Jerome playing like shit did affect them a lot. I don't know if Lonzo's gonna be a big step up from that at
Yeah,
all.
I'm not
I do
saying
like the
he's
Larry
the
Nance.
backup. I'm
Yeah.
not saying he's the backup creator. I'm saying they didn't have a lot of point of attack defense last year, and I think Lonzo could be a guy who can actually stay on the floor offensively. In again, an
But how
idealized
much is he
version
gonna
of
be
him,
playing
20
in the
minutes a game.
playoffs, like in a big game? Like,
I can see like 20,
yeah, I just don't know how.
but that's better
Yeah, I don't
than
know. I don't know
Okora, who
how
would probably
big of an
play like
impact.
5 and then be a net negative on the floor.
No,
That's
sure,
all I'm saying
that's
because I'm just
true.
looking at that exact trade.
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah,
saying it's a major upgrade on Ty Jerome because it's not. I think
yeah.
you chose Sam Merrill or Ty Jerome, and I think they made the wrong
The
choice
wrong decision.
personally.
Yeah, yeah.
But
I like the
it's
Larry
yeah,
Nance signing though. Larry
yeah.
Nance shot like over 40% from three on 3 attempts last year, so I actually think that's a really good signing. But yeah, outside of that, you kind of you had a good opportunity to get better, and I don't know if you guys did. So yeah, I'd give them a C as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move on to the Dallas Mavericks. So Kyrie, in the midst of his ACL injury, has agreed to a 3-year extension. I saw someone talking about Dame gets a fucking Achilles tear and is waived, while Kyrie, in the middle of an ACL injury, gets a 3-year extension. And I think what Dame is like a year older maybe than Kyrie. I don't think the age difference is that big. Dante Exum returned on a 1-year deal. D'Angelo Russell signed for a 2-year deal, and they lost Spencer Dinwiddie to the Hornets. So yeah, for the Mavs, I like the D'Angelo Russell signing. I mean, they needed a point guard. They needed like a scoring guard. And yeah, I like that signing. Cooper Flag can't really beat that in the draft.
Yeah.
And then Dante Exum, he was really good for him. He has been good for him. So as a good defender, and he can for some reason he makes threes sometimes. So yeah, I like it. And then Kyrie, like, I don't know. I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts on the Kyrie deal? It was like
I don't
40
mind
million
it.
a year, I think.
Yeah, I don't mind it. They like the way this team is like headed with what Nico wants. They want a like contending team, and their only real source of guard creation is Kyrie. So Kyrie really had a lot of terms to negotiate his own contract with. Like he had a lot of power. So I felt like 3 for 40. This is probably like the last real deal for Kyrie. I think it's a pretty decent deal.
40's not crazy, yeah.
Yeah. So and obviously Cooper Flag's amazing. I think D'Lo's like a fine deal. I think it's with a player option. Um, so it's like it's decent. I don't
It's
mind it.
a team friendly deal too. It's like 2 years, 2 years, 12 million or something like that.
Yeah.
I really like the D'Lo signing. I think that especially because he has rapport with AD. I think that they with Kyrie gone for the beginning of the season, they're gonna need some type of creation somewhere. I'd give them well, you got Cooper Flag, so you get an A+ because especially because D'Lo's gonna come in and start. He's not a good defender, but Cooper Flag and Anthony Davis as your defensive front court is insane. And I think Cooper's defensive game is gonna come along faster than his offensive game for sure.
Yeah.
I think that those two as your 4 and 5 with I guess they still have Gafford and Lively, so
Yeah.
They extended Gafford
It's good.
too for
It's gonna be
3 for 60.
3, 4. Yeah, it's gonna be 3, 4, and 5. I think Gafford or Lively is gonna start for him.
yeah. So I mean,
Um,
yeah, I like what they've done. I give them an A.
this team looks pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like healthy, this team could totally like I don't know. They could fuck around and be like a top 3, 4 seed.
Yeah.
I think yeah, they
If they're
could
fully
legit be a
healthy.
contender. If everything, they probably definitely not this season just because of the growing pains and
Kyrie.
Cooper being a
Yeah.
rookie. But I think
Yeah.
next year they could definitely be a contender.
Yeah. Yeah. I surprisingly like the D'Angelo signing a lot. I think they needed a point guard. I like
Yeah.
Brandon Williams, I think, is their backup. And Jaden Hardy's a 2. So yeah, I think I like the signing for them. And then everything else, like, yeah, I'd give them like a B plus, A minus. I don't know. It's a decent
I'll give them a B plus too.
business
Or
as
you
usual
know,
off
with
season.
the Cooper addition, I'll give them an A minus, I think.
Bet.
Yeah.
Okay. Sal, you too?
Yep. Yep.
All right. Let's go Nuggets. Nuggets had a really, really good offseason. We'll talk about the Valanciunas thing in a second, but they got Bruce Brown on a 1-year deal. They signed for Cam Johnson, obviously gave up the 2032 pick and Mike Porter Jr. They got Tim Hardaway Jr. And then they traded Dario Saric for Jonas Valanciunas. Dario Saric had a pick, was it? For Jonas? I don't
I
remember.
think it was straight up.
Mhm.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So Jonas Valanciunas, he got an offer from a team, I believe, was it in Latvia or Lithuania? But he got an offer from a European team, and I've never seen anything like this before. So after being traded, he essentially said, "I don't give a fuck. You could wait, like literally don't have to pay me." He said, "But I want to go play in Europe." Um, Theoretically, he would have been a really, really, really good fit on this team just because they need scoring off the bench in the non-Jokic minutes. And then Bruce Brown, like a big part of that 2023 championship team. And then Tim Hardaway Jr. It's nice to have more shot creation on the roster, especially because Jamal has been so inconsistent in regular seasons past. A picture perfect offseason for the Nuggets, in my opinion. And Cam
Yeah, I
Johnson,
want to.
obviously, just better than Michael Jr.
Yeah, I think they're pretty similar players. I don't know if it's a huge upgrade, but I
I
think
think he's a
the
better
consistency Cam
shot
Johnson
creator.
provides,
Mm.
and the fact that he's just half like the contract of Michael Porter Jr. is just such a big win. Even if you have to give
Yeah.
up the pick, that's fine. Like it's kind of crazy how different the regime is when Calvin Booth's gone because they've just been doing nothing. They've been twiddling their thumbs for the last 2 years
Yeah.
basically under Calvin Booth, and now they're making legit moves to create an actual bench around Jokic, and I feel like this is in my opinion, very like if they're not there, they're 1A, 1B with the Thunder for the West right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're really good.
I'm really high on the Nuggets too. They took OKC to 7, and that was a very competitive series.
Yep.
Uh, I like the Cam. I think Cam in general versus Michael Porter Jr. I think he's just a more willing player in general. Maybe not as willing of a shooter as Michael Porter, but everything else on the floor, I think Cam Johnson is more willing to do. I saw on Zach Lowe's show he mentioned the stat MPJ 4 drives per on 100 possessions, which is insanely low for 4 drives. That's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah, that's
And
stupid.
Cam's at 11 drive per possessions or per 100 possessions, right? So he's just more willing to drive the ball, which I think will really add a new element of offense to Denver. Bruce Brown, we know he's a good fit with Jokic, and ideally, if you can keep Jonas, I think that there's a lot of scheme consistency there with Jokic. With Jokic off, Jonas on, they're both gonna run pretty much drop coverage, maybe at the level a little bit. I mean, Jonas is nothing compared to Jokic, but like in terms of how they play, it's kind of similar. I think that's going to go a long way in just learning the scheme and keeping the kind of the same stuff that you're doing off the floor. Because that's that was the problem with the Nuggets was that when Jokic was off the floor, they lose everything. I think Jonas
Yeah.
gives you some similar components that you can kind of replicate what you're doing um with Jonas. And I think
Yeah.
that I like the Tim Hardaway Jr. signing. At first, I was like a little bit low on it, but now that I really think about it, like those dribble handoffs with Jokic and stuff, just being able to knock down open shots is very
Dude,
important.
they got Bruce
He's
Brown
good.
and Tim Hardaway for a minimum. Like
Yeah,
these are
that's
two
crazy.
legit good like players. They
Yeah.
made decent amount of money last year. They both could have gotten better contracts elsewhere. So I'm just like that they're finally using the value of Jokic. Everyone knows Jokic makes you better. And
Yeah.
NBA players do too, and they're finally like using that to their advantage. I feel like the Nuggets have been like, no, we won't we'll get Dario Saric for 5. We'll overpay for Dario Saric and Reggie Jackson when they could get guys like this on the minimum. It just didn't make sense what their past regime was doing.
Yeah, Tim Hardaway is just taking this as like a 1 year to prove yourself.
Yeah,
If with Jokic, he can definitely get a huge contract after. I mean, he's playing the
definitely.
KCP role. I mean, obviously no defense, but he's gonna get wide open shots on this roster. So, and yeah, I hope the Valanciunas thing doesn't go through because that makes the Nuggets like very, 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 very good.
Yeah, I think they'll
So I'm hoping
probably
he
they still
stays in
have
Europe.
money though. That's the thing. They have their non-tax MLE, I believe, with if Valanciunas leaves, so they can spend up to $14 million on another backup big.
Wow. I wouldn't have minded Larry Nance on this team. I feel like he's just an Aaron Gordon dupe.
That would be
Yeah,
fun.
dude. Uh, yeah, I feel like Cam Johnson's a real step up for Michael Porter Jr. I don't know, like I really really like Cam Johnson. I just think he's a better like shot creator
And I
than
think
Porter Jr. is.
what's so important with Cam and with Bruce Brown is that they're players that Cam's not a amazing defender, but he's a body that you can put on a wing player. I think that
Yeah,
oftentimes we see the Nuggets having to put Aaron Gordon on those type of
yeah.
guys. But now if you can keep Aaron Gordon on your back line, that helps your defense and completely changes what you have to do. And Bruce is another guy you can come in and throw him on a decent offensive player and keep Aaron Gordon on the back line is so important.
Yeah,
Bruce is definitely a very good defender. Yeah, but I don't know about
for sure.
Cam. Like Michael Porter Jr. in the last 2 years has improved as a defender, but I'm not sure that Cam is the same way. Maybe being on a contending team it'll change, but I don't think right now Cam is a great defender. Bruce is obviously.
Yeah, I
Sorry,
was
go ahead.
just gonna say, like, I think MPJ just the value he has because of his size and the fact that he can shoot over everyone. Like Cam just doesn't have that. So like he's good. I just don't think he's as effective as a shooter as MPJ is. But I
You
still
should
think he's
see
a
these
better player.
volumes, bro. I mean, he's attempting like what? He attempts like 7 threes a game and shoots 39. And this was as the primary like scorer on this. I mean, him and Cam Thomas, I guess. But
Right.
I mean, he's been like on a garbage Nets team. He's the primary focus for the defense, and he's putting up like an efficient 19 a game. Um,
Yep.
and again, like he can actually put the ball on the floor. Like Saho was saying, like 11 drives for 100 possessions. Um, far more than Mike Porter Jr. was doing. That's why I would watch a lot of Cam Johnson tape hoping the Warriors would somehow get him. But it's really, really, really good signing. I mean, trade.
Definitely. Yeah. I'd give
Yeah,
him an A, like a
yeah,
solid A.
yeah. I'm gonna give an A plus. Yeah,
And I
All
was
right.
A
gonna
plus. All right. Let's go to the Pistons, and they re-signed Paul Reed. They got Karis LeVert. That was like their big guy they were going after. Basically as their Malik Beasley replacement. Malik Beasley, obviously, has he been suspended officially, or they just said like they
He's
just
just
said he?
under investigation, and there's a
Okay.
lot of reports around him.
All right. Well, they're under investigation. He's under investigation, and then they also got Duncan Robinson on a pretty what was it, 16 million a year, I think.
Yeah,
Was
three
it
for
3 or
48.
48? Right. Yeah. So 16 million. And they kind of just replaced Tim Hardaway Jr. and Malik Beasley with these two guys.
Yep.
And then they also lost Dennis Schroeder, who actually was really good for him after that. Like he's been traded like 3 times, but he was really good for him for the second half of that year. Pistons, I think all four of us agree they could definitely make a push at least to the second round next year. Can be a home court team similar to the Hawks. So yeah, I think they got Karis LeVert, Duck Robinson. I think they got better, in my opinion.
Oh, I disagree. I think they got worse.
Really?
I think
Why?
Levert's pretty good. But I think you overpaid for a guy like Duncan Robinson. Malik was
Okay,
just
yeah,
better
that's a
last
lot.
year.
Yeah,
Like 3 for 48. He had a $20 million player option, which he declined. I thought that was really dumb at the moment, and then he got $48 million, which is really impressive for his agent. Good on him.
all
But
off that bubble run, bro.
I think like Malik and Tim Hardaway is just a better combination of dudes than Karras and Duncan. Like
Really?
I
I
think
don't know. I
so.
feel
I
like Karis
mean,
LeVert's the best player there out of all those guys
yeah,
that
I
they
mean
gave.
maybe, but I think you're overpaying for Duncan Robinson.
The
And
overpay is fine, but I'm talking about just the production you're getting, regardless of the contracts.
I
I feel
I
like
mean
the
Malik
team
was
itself.
insane last year, dude. I think like I'm not
Yeah, he
comparing straight up
was like second in
Tim
threes made,
Hardaway.
right? Yeah,
He was second in three straight. He was like the second best shooter in the league next
yeah.
maybe third best shooter in the league last year. Like that's
But they
pretty
were
insane
atrocious in the
production.
playoffs. Like I
Sure,
feel like
yeah,
Malik
but
and Tim Hardaway Jr. were really, really bad in that Knicks series.
and
you
I
so
also
don't
was
know
lose
if that's probably
Duncan
good.
was also awful in the playoffs. Like you know what I mean?
Duncan's
Like so that's what I
ass,
mean.
yeah,
Like
you also lose Dennis Schroeder, which I think is big
yeah,
just
yeah,
because he
that's
had
pretty big
so
too.
much pop off the bench. And
yeah.
he's a really good point of view defender, which Levert is an okay defender. Duncan's a bad defender. So I also think they got a little bit worse just because I think they need another guard or they need
They
one
got
more.
Jaden Ivey though. He was hurt for a
He's
lot
Yeah.
of
coming
last
back,
season,
yeah.
and I guess they had Marcus Sasser. Like Marcus Sasser didn't really play much last year, but he had a lot of hopes. He's a good shooter from like 2 years ago. I remember. They were hyping him up a bit. Maybe that's I don't know. I don't think like at worst, I feel like it's a lateral move. I don't know if they got significantly worse, given that these guys were kind of waiting to get opportunity. Because, like, if you think about it, I feel like Jaden Ivey has always had to take a back seat on the Pistons, just given that they have Cade, and they've always had like this flurry of like two guards, whether it's like Malik or Tim Hardaway Jr. and even guys before. So I think this is the real opportunity to make a push with these young guys. Because Jaden Ivey, I think Jaden Ivey's a great player. Like at worst, he's like a sixth man.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I mean, I still think they're a good team. I just think they overpaid for both these
They
guys,
did.
honestly,
I
which
agree.
is fine. You're a young team. I mean, not the biggest market, so I guess that's what happens. But so I would give them
Yeah.
like a C plus. Not like huge fan.
Yeah, I'd also give them like a B minus. I don't think they got much better. They didn't
Yeah.
get incredibly worse. But yeah.
I'll leave it B minus. I just think Karis LeVert brings you that extra shot creation that you needed against the Knicks.
Mm.
Fair enough.
With like alongside Cade. Yeah. Okay. Let's move. Fuck. Let's go to the
Dude,
Warriors.
let's spend a
Wait.
minute on them. They've done
They
Yeah.
don't
nothing.
deserve a minute, bro.
Wait. Can I just say it's so funny because we're all looking at this NBA.com, like what teams of their additions,
Yeah.
re-signings, additions, departures, and just says NA for the Warriors basically throughout.
NA for additions and re-signings, but departures, hell yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
no, there's honestly there's not much to say just because we can really talk about it. I think we can do an in-depth Warriors episode
that's
when they trade
fine. Yeah.
Kuminga.
We
Yeah.
lost Kevon Looney. Just shout out to Kevon. I mean, he deserves a whole podcast for himself. But he had a thing on the Players Tribune
You
today
can do a
saying he's
solo
always
pod.
going to be.
You can do a solo pod on.
It's like I'll be drunk at 1 a.m. just recording a pod about Looney.
So
But yeah,
far, I think we
Warriors
should. I think the
fucking
appropriate
garbage.
grade would
Still
also be an
deserve to
NA.
be.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. No, I would give a fucking F. They're the only team that hasn't made it. Like they literally made the
Yeah.
cuck move, bro. The 7-team trade where they just got the rookies that they drafted, or one of the rookies they drafted. Warriors still looking to trade Kuminga for something. They haven't even signed. They gave him his like $9 million qualifying offer, but yeah, whatever. No need to talk about them. They
And
get
there
an
were
F from
maybe
me.
they're probably gonna get Al Horford too, which is
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah. What the fuck? I see everyone tweeting about it, but I don't see anyone official tweeting about it. So
yeah.
whatever, man. He's gonna retire before he joins this watch. But yeah, let's hope that happens. I give them an F so far because Al Horford hasn't been finalized because they lost Looney. Um, yeah, you guys giving NAs or something? I don't know.
Yeah, I'll give it an incomplete.
Yeah, same.
It's waiting to happen.
Bro, going from the Warriors to the Rockets is fucking. Oh my god. Okay. All right. Houston Rockets, arguably, I mean, not arguably, I think they obviously had the best offseason if you take into account the Kevin Durant trade. They re-signed Steven Adams early on. That was a really good re-signing. Aaron Holiday, Jeff Green, Jabari Smith got a 5-year extension. Might have been an overpay, but I feel like it's tradable. And then Jayshawn Tate and Fed VanVleet got an extension, and they restructured his contract a little bit, I think, just so they could afford to get more guys. I think all these guys were made possible because of Fred VanVleet's 2-year like restructured extension. They also got Clint Capella back. Clint Capella played a huge role for those regular season Rockets teams, starting from like 2015 to like 2019, and then or 2020 even. And then Kevin Durant, of course, joined via the Suns trade, and then Dorian Finney-Smith, another huge dude. This is what an offseason for the Rockets. They had Dorian Finney-Smith from the Lakers, huge loss for the Lakers, on a 4-year deal. They also obviously traded Dylan Brooks and Jalen Green. Jock Londo got waived. I think he just signed with a team yesterday, right? I don't
The
remember which team
Grizzlies
he
after they,
signed with.
I think it was the
Grizzlies.
Grizzlies after they gave up
They
Huff.
traded Huff. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then most recently they traded Cam Whitmore. Good move for the Wizards, like you were saying, Sai. Wizards have an interesting thing brewing there. But yeah, offseason, this team is easily a title contender to me. I know we've gone back and forth about the shot creation aspect on this team, but they're at least like a 55-win regular season team, if not more, in my opinion. They got shooting and defense around Kevin Durant. I guess okay shot creation. And then yeah, the defenses just can't be. Yeah, I can't say enough about them.
Yeah, I give them an A plus. I think they did probably the best offseason you can ask for. I think salary cap wise, they managed it really well. I think the only part I was a little confused about was like getting Capella when you also have Adams, when you also have Şengün. But it's never too, I mean, they have the money for it. Might as well get a guy who works in this building. They are a team that seems to be leaning into the double big. Obviously, we've talked about KD, the trade. I mean, obviously an A trade with how little assets they had to give up. And then the fact that they re-signed Jabari Smith on a pretty good deal. I think I liked it over time after thinking about it. And then Dorian Finney-Smith, a really good deal. 4 for 53. Taking him from another contender in the West from the Lakers. Like, very good offseason. This is as good as it gets, I think. And Rafael Stone has just been cooking for
Dude,
years now. Like, great
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yes.
you guys kind of touched on all of it. I think the only hole I think we can all pretty much agree with is their guard creation. There's probably like unless Amen can take an insane leap,
Yeah.
the offense creation. I think that they're probably one guard away unless Reed has another step in him too.
Mm,
Right.
But they do have a 3.5 million trade exception. They're under the 2 million under the cap, under the first apron as well. So I think there's one more move coming. We'll see who they grab, but I think they'll have even one more player after this, and I think that they're 1A, 1B, 1C with the Nuggets and the Thunder for me.
This team was so good, man. I was thinking like they could throw out a roster of I mean a lineup of Amen. Somehow you play Kevin Durant at the two, Dorian Finney-Smith, Alperin, and like Clint Capella. The average height would be like
Yeah.
6'10"
Yeah.
in that lineup. And it could totally work too, which is crazy. I like the yeah, you were talking about the Capella signing, just having too many bigs. I feel like Adams won't play a crazy amount of minutes each game in the regular season. I feel like he's more of like a fit guy, like against a specific team in the playoffs, like the Warriors. It makes more sense because in general, like Steven Adams against any other team doesn't look the way he did against the Warriors. Versus Clint Capella, he's a pretty like standard. You know what you're getting with him. So he could play like 15 to 20 minutes a night for the team. But I understand the concern. I'd give them an A
Yep.
plus plus plus, like perfect offseason. What a like the last like 3 years, Rockets have gotten progressively better
Yep.
from barely missing the play in to taking the Warriors to 7, and now this, man. So really good on them.
All
So
right.
on to the
This should be
Pacers.
quick too.
They got Jay Huff. I actually like Jay Huff. Like I was memeing about it, but he's actually pretty good. Like you see that? Have you seen this video on TikTok where he only does reverse dunks? Like he never does.
I've seen
There's a
him do a
guy.
lot of reverse dunks.
There's a guy on TikTok who was like talking about these random things NBA players do that no one talks about. I forgot the other two, but I remember Jay Huff for some reason. He only takes reverse dunks, no matter what, whether it's contested or wide open. It's always reverse. But he's really good. He can shoot the ball too. He's just not a good defender. And then I guess that's their Miles Turner replacement. I said that as a joke, but then Sham said it for real. And
It
then
is. They
Miles,
don't have another big, really.
yeah, it's sad. They have
Tony
Wiseman, bro.
Bradley,
Trust.
I guess, yeah.
Um, and then Miles Turner leaves to the Bucks. He said I guess he wanted more from the Pacers. He said
Yeah, I mean, the
the
Pacers
Pacers
weren't
didn't
willing to
offer him
match the
the thing.
salary that the Bucks did, and
The
it's
Bucks
because they
offered
didn't want to go
more.
into the luxury tax, which I don't know if I
Makes
love
sense.
that. I mean, you're just losing the guy who's your lifetime. Like been a Pacer for life. He's on a pretty
The
decent deal with
longest
the
tenured
Bucks. I
player on the
don't.
roster.
Yeah, I mean, he's a pretty decent deal, and he fit really well. I would have paid him personally. I think another thing that we didn't talk about is that the fact that they managed to get their own pick back in the finals right before Tyrese got hurt.
Yeah.
Pretty insane timing. That the fact that they worked that out, but
Yeah.
good on them and it really paying off for them right now.
Yeah.
I get not wanting to resign him. I think that they're kind of looking ahead. I think Jay Huff kind of allows them to play a similar style to what they've done with Miles. Obviously, I don't think he's as good, but Miles has been slipping defensively in the past couple years as well. He's not that same
Definitely.
dominant defensive player that he was maybe like 4 years ago. I think they kind of just said like, okay, like this roster right now might not be the team that'll win us another or give us another chance to win in 2 years when Halliburton's actually healthy again. So I think they kind of just kicked the tires on Miles and said like, we think we can find somebody to replicate what you bring. And I think like Jay Huff will eventually be a backup for them, and they'll find somebody who can fit that Miles role a little better. But yeah, it's just unfortunate, man. Like, can't believe they were one game away from winning the NBA
Yeah.
championship.
And
Crazy.
now look at them. Yeah. Do you guys wanna, I don't even know what I'd get. I'd just give them a C, I guess. Like
I'd give him a C, but that's because I'm mostly down on the fact that they didn't resign Miles. But I mean, hey, if they get a better center in the future, I'm not like willing to be like. I just think
yeah.
who's out there, in my opinion. Like, there's not a ton of better guys out there.
It'll be different. Like the league changes so much year to year. Who knows?
Yeah,
Like at the
true.
end of next year, someone new might be available. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have a great form.
Yeah, I give him a C too.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to the Clippers. The one big splash they made was getting Brook Lopez from the Bucks on a 2-year deal. They also re-signed James Harden and Batum to 2-year. Harden got a 2-year extension. Nicholas Batum got a 2-year deal, and they waived Drew Eubanks. Brook Lopez, great fit. I saw today he was Zubac's veteran on the Lakers, and now he's a veteran on the Clippers. But yeah, I think it was a great deal. I think it's a great offseason for them. I think Brook Lopez is a good signing. So yeah. How about you
Yeah,
guys?
I mean, I like it. Harden's on 2-year, 82 mil, like that's a pretty decent contract for him, extension. And Batum's been a good role player for them. I think in addition, like you're just adding a guy in Brook Lopez when they didn't really have a backup big last year. Ben Simmons was their backup center. Like
Yeah.
this is obviously an improvement. So I think a B plus, like pretty good offseason.
And he's been pretty versatile. He's played 78 games in the last 3 seasons, and he's 35, 34, 35, 36 in those seasons. Good shot blocker, good 3-point shooter. That's pretty much about it. But you're not going to ask him to play more than 16 minutes a game.
That's the thing, exactly. Yeah, off the
So
bench
Yeah.
is perfect.
yeah, I like it a lot. I give them a B plus.
Yeah, I agree. I give them a B. I feel like they're still not. I don't know what else they could have done, but they're still not close to contention, in my opinion, with the rest of the teams. Like considering how much better the Rockets and the
Hey, I mean,
Nuggets
they took
got.
the Denver. They took Denver to 7. Denver
They
took
did
OKC
take
to
Denver
7.
to second, but I don't know if Brooke Lopez competes with compares with what the Nuggets did, like getting Bruce
Yeah,
Brown,
that's
Tim
fair.
Hardaway Jr., and possibly Giannis Valanciunas. So, yeah, okay, let's go to the Lakers. Honestly, I think the Lakers got worse.
For
I feel
sure.
like Dorian Finney-Smith was a big part of that team, but they got Jackson Hayes back. They signed DeAndre Ayton to a 2-year deal, and then they also sorry, and they also got Jake LaRavia. I actually like Jake LaRavia, so I think that was actually not a bad signing. And then they obviously lost the DFS to the Rockets, who signed there for a 4-year deal. Sal, you want to talk about DeAndre Ayton real quick?
Yeah. I think there's two sides of this coin. Offensively, I think he changes a lot of what they do, and he makes them a lot better. I think they will be a top 10 offense next year. Just because having an actual center who can do some things on the short roll is very important, especially with a guy like Luca. I think he'll look a lot better with Luca. He shot 55% on 2-point jump shots, on 74 attempts. So he's on the short roll. He's a very good offensive player. Um, and I think in the pick and roll, it's so important to have somebody um, like a shot creating center or somebody who can finish a play. A play finisher as a center is so important because for a defensive player playing like a Luka Ayton pick and roll, you kind of have to give Ayton some respect in that sense. I think like he'll have games where he glides to 20 points pretty easily. I think he's on a contract year, which is also very important because one thing we know about DeAndre Ayton is that he cares about his money more than anything, more than winning. And this is kind of the fork in the road for him. Is it like either you have a great year in LA and you can find yourself getting a $100 million contract, or you're going to find yourself playing with for veteran minimums for the next couple of years if you don't look good in LA next to Luca. Um, I think they need to keep him at the post. He was the least efficient post player in the league last year, and the issue is the defense, right? Like that's the problem where why I still am not a huge believer in this Lakers team. Before we even get to the LeBron stuff, Portland was 5 points better with him off the floor, and that's with Portland having this resurgence and this defensive dominance that we saw. So offensively, I like the fit. I think he's very important. I think they just really craved a starting caliber center, which I think DeAndre Ayton is. So, I don't think they actually got worse, to be honest, than they were
Mhm.
before, just because you you lose Dorian Finney-Smith, yes, but you get back Jake LaRavia, who I think in 2, 3 years can be similar to what you get from DFS. And then you sign DeAndre Ayton, who puts Jackson Hayes, who's Jackson Hayes isn't good, isn't great, but in a backup big role, he's not the
Yeah,
worst thing in the world.
it's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I think that Ayton brings you a lot of good stuff offensively. But I'm also look like guys who prioritize their money, which I'm all for, like go get your money, but I can he doesn't have a winning attitude. And you know that if he does play well this season, it'll just be because he wants money. He needs his money. And a guy like
Yeah.
that, I don't believe you can win with a guy like that.
Yeah, personally, I think this is a better move for DeAndre Ayton than it is for the Lakers. He's going to get his points. He's going to get easy looks from Luca and LeBron. Like he's going to get the lobs and finishes. I don't think he's going to be super engaged defensively. That's always been a problem for him, and I don't think that's going to be fixed in LA. I think JJ Redick's probably going to have a tough time with him, and he's probably going to. I feel like this is a team that wants to go small, and they lost their big center, or not their center, but their five, who would have been that Dorian Finney-Smith. So I'm not a fan of their offseason as a whole. I guess Laravia is a good piece. Like this is a good player, but I would have liked him
Yeah.
in addition to Finney Smith and Ayton than losing Finney Smith. And I think Finney Smith's probably the best player, like fourth best player on their roster, and they just lose him for nothing. So I'm really down on their offseason as a whole. I think they still needed a center and they got a center. So I'm like it's not the worst thing in the world, but the fact that they lost their best defensive player is just really disappointing for a team that was already a bad defense. So I would probably give them like a C minus for their offseason.
To me, like, dude, Aiton's he's a name. You know what I mean? Like you think of him as like an 18 and 12 guy, but then when you watch the games, like he'll get to those stats and it feels like he's really made no impact on the game.
Yep.
And you're looking at the starting five. LeBron's their best defender, and he might have been their best defender even with DFS on the roster. But DFS is an excellent defender, guarding like the bigger wings. Like who is doing that now? Is my question, right? Because
He would
DeAndre
guard
Marty has,
guards, like he would guard
yeah,
ants. Like there's
he's mobile for his age. But he's only 31. Actually, I don't know why I said that, but I don't know. I feel like the Lakers, the way they play DFS made more sense on the roster, like having LeBron and Luca versus like I guess that's what you're saying, Sai. Like they like to go small. And I don't know. I just feel like Aiton's one of those guys that would get benched in crunch time, similar to what you're saying about the Blazers, right? Like he just seems like one of those guys that like you might. We've seen like that happen to Şengün too. Um, in regular season games with the Rockets, where they play a certain way, like fast defensive, like fast offensively, and then like the defense, like long defenders. And I just don't know if Aiton fits that way with Luca and LeBron. I
I
don't
don't
know.
think they like to go small though. I think they kind of had to because they didn't have anybody who could actually play the big role for them. So then we saw them play. I mean, they played five guys for an entire half in the playoffs. That's
That, yeah,
insane.
that's
I've never
fucking
seen that
ridiculous.
before. So I
Yeah.
think
yeah.
when I'm looking at this team now, I'm like, okay, I think you can play Jake Laravia like 10 minutes in the playoffs at least. And
No, he's good. I like Jake Laravia for sure. Yeah.
exactly. So I think like now you have seven playable players instead of five. Uh,
Yeah.
and I think making Dorian Finney-Smith, who yes, he's your best defender, but I think making him two playable players takes the load off of everybody a little bit more, which is why I think they've gone better just because they've added a legitimate center. I do think we should talk about LeBron a little bit and like
Yeah.
what the hell is going on because I'm curious to hear what you guys think is going to happen because the statement he put out was interesting, or
It's
what he
so
put
weird.
out was really
Yeah.
weird, which is on par with the course of what we've seen from LeBron throughout his career. Um,
Yeah.
but he opted in, no extension. What do you guys think?
I don't think he's getting traded. Like I feel like that's the prevailing sentiment that he's like maybe requesting a trade. I don't think that's what's happening. I think he's just trying to, I feel like he's losing a little power in the organization. He had a lot of in with Genie and Palinka, and it felt like with the new regime, he's not as prioritized, which they know the direction is now Luca. And I feel like with this move, he's just trying to reprioritize himself as a Lakers guy. And I just feel like so don't go for the long-term moves, go for the short-term moves, go for guys who can help us win now, especially when you have both of us, which I mean is a fair enough sentiment. I think you have two superstars right now. Go big when you have them. So I think that's just all what he's trying to do. Just get the prioritize in the now over the future.
I think he's gonna retire after next year. I've been thinking this. I don't know. It just
Oh.
seems so perfect to retire
23rd year
when you're
after.
in your 23rd year, bro.
Yeah.
Like
But
23
but
retiring
he
at
wants
23.
he wants a farewell tour. Like that's like that has gonna happen.
Yeah.
Well,
He would
yeah,
announce that.
maybe he'll announce it later on. Like, I mean,
Yeah, I can
Kobe
see that.
announced it in the mid-season, no? Like, I feel like I mean, maybe he'll announce it. Like, we still have like 3 months till the season starts, which is so sad. But maybe he'll announce it then. I don't know. But like, what do you like? What do you think is happening then?
No, that yeah,
I,
that's
I, I,
Sorry.
this is what I think is gonna happen. Okay, there's two things we know about LeBron. Okay, we know that he really cares about his money, which is completely fair. He wants to own a
Yeah.
team. So like the whole like like he should have opted out and taken a smaller deal. Hell no. Okay, I'm all for players going to get their money. He wants to own a team, get his money. The second thing we know he cares about is his legacy. Okay, and what people
Yeah.
talk, what people say about him. He's trying to catch Jordan, right? I think his case against Jordan, and he knows that, is that, and even against a guy like Steph, right? Like these guys who build dynasties with one team, is that LeBron's whole legacy stands on the fact that he's been with three different teams, with three different front offices, with three different rosters, and no matter what, he still managed to win a championship with that team, no matter what the state of the team is, right? He's been a Laker, he's been a Cav, and he's been a Heat, and he's won championships. I don't think, in his heart of heart, he wants to go to a fourth team and have a small shot at winning a ring there, and then in the end of the day, we're gonna talk about LeBron being, yeah, he played for four teams and he won three championships with those with of those four teams. I think he likes the fact that I think he wants to retire with the fact that he's been on three teams and he's won with three teams. And I think that
yeah.
that's why I think that he's going to play out this year with the Lakers. I think the Lakers didn't want to offer him an extension in the first place. I think they said, "We know
That's valid. Yeah.
this is what our
Yeah.
map is. Yeah, you're 40. We don't want to pay you $50 million next year. I think he'll play out the season. I think he's gonna end up a Cav. I think he's gonna play his farewell tour.
Oh.
I think I
Whoa.
think I
Okay.
think he'll do a.
Wow.
I think because if you think about it, like if he does go sign with the Cavs, he's still gets a chance for the
That's true.
veteran or whatever. He still gets a chance to win a championship. He'll do a farewell tour. The only thing that I think pushed back against that is that he likes to live in LA. His family's in LA. Like that's the only
His
thing where it's
son's in
like
LA.
his son's in LA.
His
Uh,
son is LA.
which another reason why I don't think he'll leave or he wants to leave. Like he wants another year with his son. I think that's fair. But I think that's what'll happen because we know LeBron. Like he likes attention. He wants everyone to be talking about him. He's gonna have a farewell tour. Like he wants what
He's
Kobe.
definitely gonna have farewell tour, but I don't know if like I thought he wanted to retire in LA. Like I swear that was his like
That's
Yeah, and
that's
it's always been his
I think
thing.
he will. I don't know if he's gonna
I
have a
really
retirement
did think he
tour.
was gonna retire in LA. Like it would be great. I mean, for you, obviously, if he goes to Cavs.
on,
But
on the vet
Honestly, would it though? Like
on the
you
vet minimum.
turn
That's
you
like
turn a contending season into LeBron's retirement tour.
no, I mean you
I
can still
don't.
contend. Can you imagine if it ends in a championship?
I think the fact that like I mean if it ends in the championship for sure. But I think like you're putting all the
already it's so hard to win a championship. One team wins it now, 30 teams. Like you tell me like a season of a LeBron farewell tour on the Cavs, like that's just fun. Like that's literally just a fun
yeah,
season. I don't care how it ends, honestly.
I think it's not very feasible. Like I just don't think he'll do. Like I think
yeah.
like what he's gonna relocate his kids or his I guess at that point it's gonna be Zuri and
No,
Savannah. But
I
like
think that I think Bronny would stay Laker, and I think that's when they'd be like, okay, we've had our heartwarming moments.
And then they wave him as soon as
he's gonna be out of the
LeBron
team. He's
leaves.
literally gonna be gone the second.
Then he'll be a Cav too. We'll take him too.
Yeah,
Fuck,
true. Probably
that's
will have
hilarious.
to.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what he's thinking. I know he like. I'm
Or
glad at
or
least you're self-aware that he loves the attention through all this
oh,
shit.
For
So
sure.
yeah, but
or
I
he gets
don't
traded or he gets traded for Jimmy Butler. We'll see.
get traded for Jimmy Butler. No, just get traded for Kuminga, bro. Kuminga, Moody, Pods, throw on everyone. I'll even throw on Draymond. I don't give a fuck. Bring LeBron to the team. I would not mind that.
Draymond's gonna
Oh,
be so sad if he gets traded for
Yeah, I know.
LeBron.
Imagine, yeah. Can't see LeBron in the locker room. It's so tough. In the showers, yeah.
All right.
I
Want to
don't.
move on?
Yeah, I don't know. This is. I was surprised you had brought this up. I have no. I haven't really thought about what LeBron's
I
thinking.
don't
I
know. A lot of
really thought
people
he
have
was gonna
been talking
retire
about
after
like
this.
LeBron trades, dude. I just don't see that happening.
I don't see it happening. I think it's such a big like. I don't think he ever wants to be traded. It just looks bad. Like,
exactly.
you just
For
feel
sure.
like,
Yeah,
yeah,
I don't think he wants to be. He wants to be in this
in control.
group of players that have just never been traded and they would never
Yeah.
even think of being traded. Kevin Durant is like those that one guy where it's like you're so good, but you've been traded. That's really weird. You know, like
Can you believe he's
Yeah.
been traded like twice?
yeah, that's insane.
3
No,
times.
3 times. The
Yeah.
Nets thing was a sign and trade. That's
Yeah.
crazy. Oh my god. Fucking bum, bro. Okay, let's continue to the Grizzlies. And okay, in terms of re-signings, Jaren Jackson Jr. is out for what is it, like 3 months?
Yeah.
With his injury. Which injury was it again?
Turf
It
toe.
wasn't. It's what?
Turf toe.
Turf. Okay. But he signed a 5-year extension. Cam Spencer returned 2-year deal, and Santi Aldama 3-year deal with them. They also
Good deal.
traded Desmond Bane, and in return they got Contavious Caldwell Pope and Cole Anthony. Ty Jerome was the big, I think, signing for them, and then for 3 years.
Basically, the Luke
And then
Kennard
they obviously,
replacement.
yeah, exactly. I think Ty Jerome's better than Luke Kennard. They got Jock Landale yesterday as their J Huff replacement. And then, of course, it doesn't mean Luke Kennard and J Huff no longer on the roster. What do you guys think of the Grizzlies? We've kind of already talked about the main thing, like the Desmond Bane loss we've talked about, right? But I don't know. Anything else you guys want to discuss with them?
I like the Grizzlies offseason, honestly. Like I liked the Bane trade in when it first happened. I mean we talked about Ty Jerome. I really like Ty Jerome in general. I think he brings an edge to the team that Memphis already kind of has. I don't know what do you guys think of their offseason. I like KCP too. I think he's still a valuable piece if he can
Yeah,
make
I like their offseason. I like the Bane trade. And I like the Aldama extension. I think the Jaren extension, you kind of like in a place where you had to
You
make
have to
it.
do it, yeah.
Yeah, so and that's the unfortunate part. So overall, I'd give them a B. They kind of just did what they're doing, and I like their trading up for the guy they wanted, who kind of fits their timeline.
Yeah.
And Cedric Coward.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess I'll give them I don't know. I'll give them a C plus. I didn't love the Desmond Bane trade, but I guess they're kind of they still got winning pieces in return for him. And I like the Ty Jerome signing. I think
Yep.
the Ty Jerome could be like their like Tyus Jones replacement for a few years ago. Like he was so valuable to that team in 2022. So we'll see. We'll skip over a few teams. The Heat didn't really do anything significant. Simone Fontecchio came via the trade with Duncan Robinson that signed a trade
Yeah.
I'm assuming.
S-
And then
Got
David Mick short
Davion
term.
Mitchell. So that's a
Yeah,
C, I say. I
yeah,
don't know. Nothing.
whatever.
Nothing
Business as
perfect.
usual. Bucks. So a lot of things happened. In terms of re-signings, they got Gary Trent back, Jericho Sims, Torian Prince, Bobby Portis, and Kevin Porter Jr. And they also got Vasily Micic in a trade with the Hornets. Of course, the big splash was Miles Turner agreeing to a 4-year deal. They're trying to do anything to keep Giannis happy. And then Gary Harris came on a 2-year deal. I mean, Gary Harris in 2025. I don't know about that, but I guess it's okay. Pat Connaughton left after being there for a very long time, and then Brook Lopez as well to the Clippers. Damian Lillard being waived. I guess we really should talk about that.
Waived
I
and
don't know how in
stretched.
depth we'll get on this. Yeah, stretched. Um, this was like the crazy. Like this is the best player to ever be waived. Obviously,
For sure.
largest contract to ever be stretched. It just caught me by surprise. I just didn't. I didn't get the urgency in waiving him. I guess they want more contract like flexibility salary wise. That they have to do it to make the Miles Turner contract work. Maybe. I'm just not
They
sure.
had
This
to, yeah,
Bucks
for
team
sure.
is terrible. This Bucks team is very very bad. Um, it's just Miles Turner and Giannis. Like their role players. Kevin Porter
They
Jr. is gonna be
re-signed
starting.
Bobby Portis.
Yeah, Bobby Porter. I know 3-year extension. That's fine. I guess Bobby Porter's been a trade
Gary
rumor for like
Trent, that was a
2 years.
crazy contract. I feel like they got him for what, 2 for 6 or something?
Wait,
2
really?
for 7.5 plus a
Wait,
player
that's
option.
nothing.
That is crazy to me. He scored
Yeah, I
like
guess.
37 in the playoffs.
Yeah, he did. What was Torian Prince's contract? Is it
Pretty
also
cheap as
small?
well.
No, I mean, yeah, 2 years, 7 million. Yeah, they got
Yeah.
these guys on pretty. Like, I feel like Torian Prince could have gotten you a decent amount of money. He had a good year last year. So,
Yeah, but I feel like the big thing is the Dame. He got,
yeah,
had the $100 million left on his contract, waived and stretched for 5 years. So each year they're paying him $20 million to do nothing. What
Which
sucks
is
with stretching it is you can't trade him. Like these contracts can't. It's not like an exception or anything. It is just on your books in
yeah.
certainty for the next 5 years, and that
So
can't
it's
handicaps you so much. Like that is a Cam Johnson level contract for for 5 years, and you just have nothing.
it
It's
doesn't
basically
matter
like you're
though, dude.
paying.
Like
It's basically like paying Miles Turner $47 million for the next 2 years, 3 years at least, and then
Giannis
another
is
guy for
gone.
20 years after that.
Yeah, in
It's
4 years down
just
the line, it won't matter as much. They're going to be a
yeah.
team like the Brooklyn Nets with no stars, just trying to tank. I don't know if they even have their picks, but they're Giannis is going to be gone by then, right? So it won't really matter. Like they'll be a team with like a positive, positive salary space. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's a weird move.
I mean, I don't hate it, but it's like I just don't understand why this team is so dead set in trying to keep Giannis, especially when there's no future. Like
And how
this
does
is
this
not
make you
a
keep Giannis more? Like I don't see
Well,
that
I
part.
guess
Like
it's like you do something in the offseason. You're showing Giannis you did something instead of just like you have to wait a year, Giannis. You have to wait for Dame to come back and then maybe we'll trade Dame's expiring contract. But that until then, you're kind of just stuck in this horrible situation. So at least with Miles Turner, it's a better team. Especially like you lose Brook Lopez and Damian Lillard. Like you need
yeah.
to get something back.
yeah. They're kind of just doubling down on Giannis and shooters. I don't know how far that can go without a secondary shot creator. Like is Kevin Porter Jr. starting at the point guard?
I think so.
Yeah, he's their starter. That's crazy. I mean, he started for them in the playoffs too.
Yeah.
So
He's not that
yeah,
good.
it's gonna be KPJ, Gary Trent, and like Torian Prince as their top 3 guys, and then it's
That's
gonna
gonna
be Giannis
be
and Miles
a
Turner.
lot of Giannis ball, and I think
A
that they're kind of hoping
disaster.
that he's because they want to keep him like I think their front office is like pretty clear on that. So I think they're kind of hoping that for a year we'll just like let Giannis go loose and hopefully create something, and then try to figure something out in the next year. But like you said, 20 million on the books for 5 years is just bad.
That's
Bro, if you're
tough.
doing that, then just keep Dame. Like if you're admitting that you're just letting Giannis go do whatever the fuck he wants for 1 year, and then you're waiting
But
for
like
next
you
year, then
lose
that point Dame
You
could
lose Brook
return.
Lopez. You
Yeah.
have to. It's either you re-sign Brook Lopez, or you get someone to replace him. Miles
Yeah.
Turner is the best possible replacement for Brook
Could they
Lopez
not
out there.
have done that with? Could they not have just restructured Dame's contract and kept him and
I don't
gotten
know.
Miles Turner?
Restructuring works like that
Like
though.
just
Like you
stretched
have
his
to.
contract out. Like why
I
can't you
feel
just
like
stretch the contract out
no.
and
I think 5 years is the
trade for
max.
Miles
That's
Turner?
the
Like why
thing.
do you have to wait? What do
Oh,
you mean? Yeah. So
well,
why could they? No, I'm
you
saying
can't
why couldn't
stretch
you
out a
keep him
contract.
and do?
You can't just
Can you
stretch out a
not? Is that not a
contract.
thing?
I think that's only a thing in the NFL. I've never seen a restructuring of contracts in the NBA. Like where you
So that
just
only
like
happens when you waive a guy?
yeah. Stretching is only like a way, like
Oh,
once you lose the guy or like you're trying to get him off your books.
oh, okay.
That's why like the Deng stretch, like
Yeah,
that
I know that.
was for
The
like
Lakers were paying him for years.
yeah. Like it's once you waive the guy, like you get him off your books, you can take his contract, his dead cap, and then just like
Ah,
extend it over time.
interesting. Okay. All right. Well, I don't know what to. I feel like
It's a
I'll
really
give
weird.
them
Yeah, I
a
don't know how to.
C. I don't know what I would give them. Um,
I mean, this is a better team than it was without I mean, like without Miles Turner, like than it would
but they
have
don't have
been.
Dame. Like it's like, and they
Yeah, but they
waived
wouldn't have
him.
had Dame regardless, you know? So it's like I guess it's
Well, what am
better.
I comparing them to? Because, but they still waived Dame. Is my point. Like I know it's not fair to compare them to a team with the Dame, but it's also not fair to act like they're not ever gonna. Like they also are never gonna get Dame back. So it just isn't. It's weird.
I think, you know what? I'm gonna say it's a C. I think like I
Yeah.
can't
Fair.
fault them
Fair.
for the deal because it's like Dame's a 34-year-old guard, a small guard coming off the worst injury in basketball. Um, and you know, like you don't know if he's gonna come back good at all, if he's gonna have any value. He's just gonna be an expiring deal. Like, why even bother? Especially when Giannis might be on edge of leaving out. Like, do something to keep him. So I don't hate
Yeah.
it, but I also don't like it. So it is what it is.
Okay.
Yep.
So Sahil did have to dip, but we do have like about 10 to 13 more teams to cover. So let's just go over those real quick. So we finished the Bucks, give them a C. Yeah, I'm not sure what they really could do to make Giannis happy at this point, but let's move on to the Timberwolves. They got Joe Ingles back on a 1 year deal, 3 million, I think. He's gonna do nothing all year. I don't know why.
That
They got
presence.
him back. Julius Randle, 3 year deal. And then Nas Reed was a big one, got a 5 year deal. I think there's a lot of rumors of him leaving. It's nice they got him back. They also lost Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Pretty big loss for them. I feel like he was really big in 2024 in the playoffs as well as 2025, just defensively and obviously his 3 point shooting. And then they lost Luka Garza and Josh Minot, two guys who really didn't play much for him.
Both to the Celtics.
Yeah, both the Celtics. What do you think of this offseason, Si?
I like the value they got on both the Randall and Nasri contracts. Annually for the Nasri contract, $25 million, right about his value, I think. And then
Yeah.
Julius Randle 3 for 100, so $33 million a year.
That's not
I
bad.
think that's great value.
Yeah.
I think he's worth like around 35 to 40. So considering like this is a solid all-star level player and a tradable contract for both of these guys, I like the deals. And I think, you know, you were gonna have to choose two out of the three regardless. You couldn't keep all three. Um, so I think for what you could do, if it wasn't KD, I think this was fine. This was a pretty good offseason. I'll give them a B, like a solid B.
Yeah, I mean, they did what they had to do, but I feel like losing Nikhil is big.
Yeah.
So I'll give them. They could have afforded him too, right? It's just surprising they lost him
I don't
for
think they can.
really.
Yeah, I
Huh.
think they were first apron capped.
I'd give them a B too then, or a B minus
Like
maybe.
they probably had enough for like a tax exemption, but that wasn't enough for or a mid-level exception, but that wasn't enough
Hmm.
for Nikhil.
Okay, let's go to the Pelicans. They didn't re-sign anyone, but they did trade for Sadiq Bey from the Wizards in the Jordan Poole trade. So they got Jordan Poole and Sadiq Bey. They gave up CJ McCollum. And they also signed Kevon Looney to a 2 year, $16 million contract. They lost Bruce Brown, they lost CJ obviously, and they lost Kelly Olynyk in that same trade for Jordan Poole. I like it for the Pelicans. I mean, like I don't mind them kind of just swapping CJ for Jordan Poole, and Sadiq Bey is like a nice piece too. I feel like Kelly Olynyk was one of those guys that was always in trade rumors. They could have gotten like in his own deal, they probably could have gotten some decent value from him. But I think it's fine. I think Jordan Poole just makes the team younger, I guess. And yeah, like I give them like a C plus or like a B minus for this. And then Looney obviously is a great veteran presence to have. And he's a really solid backup big. So I can't
Yeah,
be mad.
I think it's like fine. It is exactly mediocre in my opinion. I just didn't like their
Yeah.
draft at all, and I'm gonna take that into account. Probably give them a D
Who
plus.
was their draft pick?
They got Fears and traded for
Derek
Queen,
Queen.
but
Derek
they had
Queen.
to trade their next year's pick.
That's so unnecessary. Wow, I don't get why
So
they do that.
yeah, it's a terrible deal. So I'm going a D plus.
D plus. Oh shit.
Yeah, I just really
Okay.
down on their draft because
I
like,
guess
why do
the
you get
draft is
Fears if you get Pool? And
yeah,
then
zero fears, bro.
that's tough. Can't lie, but
Yeah. Okay, let's go to the Knicks. They didn't re-sign anyone. They didn't lose anyone either. They did get Jordan Clarkson, and Gershon Yabusele to a 2 year deal. I like it. I like both a lot.
yep, I'm a
Um,
big fan of
they
both of
needed
these
some
guys.
like off the bench scoring.
Like
Exactly.
these are good
And both of them
rotation
fit.
level players, and I think the only addition they really
Mhm.
got was Mike Brown as their coach, which I think is fine.
Oh yeah, that's a pretty big one, I feel like. I mean, like there weren't a lot of coaches in the market that I think were a step up from Tom Thibodeau. Mike Brown would have been one that's actually like debatable. Like you could argue that's a step up.
Yeah.
In my opinion. So I like their offseason. I give them like I feel weird giving him an A to a team that got Clarkson and Yabusele as their two best players. So I'll give them like an A minus. But they did what they had to do. They got their bench just got better, and you're assuming Mike Brown will go to the bench significantly more than Tom Thibodeau did. So
Yeah,
I
I
like
agree.
it.
I'd give him an A minus
Yeah, I feel like
as
the
well.
only thing left would be getting um one more like center on the team.
Yeah. Yeah.
But because Mitchell Robinson's always hurt, Karl Anthony Towns, I mean he's gonna be starting. So maybe get one more
They have like
big.
Akporti off the bench. That's not like maybe he could be something this year. Who knows?
I mean they could have been a Brook Lopez team. The
I don't know
Knicks
if they could have
they
afforded
could
him with
afford him. Yeah.
Yabusele and
Oh, that's
Clarkson.
true.
Like I think
Okay.
Yabusele was their tax mid level. So
It's a good sign. No, I like it.
yeah, I like it too.
Okay, let's go to the Thunder. They got Shea, 4-year deal extension. Huge. Like, what is he making? Like 70
Biggest
million a year or
4
something?
for 285. Biggest annual salary, $71 million a year.
Yeah.
Insane.
Okay. AJ Mitchell came back on a 3-year deal. I saw something. AJ Mitchell played well in summer league yesterday.
Dude, 3
And
for 9 million. That's an insane
yeah,
contract
that's
for this
a
guy.
great contract.
And then
And then
Jay
Jalen
Will.
Williams. Yeah. Jalen Williams. Yeah. It's so funny that he's Asian and he has Lin in his name. That's how you differentiate him from Jalen. But yeah, Jalen Williams, 3-year extension. And they lost Dylan Jones in that trade with the Wizards.
Need to clear
So
up a roster spot, so you know.
yeah.
I
Nikola
like
Topic looked pretty
yeah.
solid yesterday. Not
Yeah, I
much
mean, we
thought
got
with the Thunder, I
Sorber
think.
off coming, so I
Oh
like their
yeah.
draft. They had to trade their 24th pick because we just don't have roster spots. So
Yeah.
Dylan Jones was probably the worst player on the team. I think it was fine to trade him to the Wizards for seconds.
Yeah.
And I really liked both the AJ Mitchell and Jay Will signings. And then Shea, you give him the bag. He's the MVP, probably maybe
Yeah.
second best or
Obviously.
best player in the NBA right now. So give him
Definitely.
the bag.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, I'd give him B plus.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I don't really have much of a grade for them. Go to the Orlando Magic. Mo Wagner re-signed 1-year deal. Desmond Bane obviously was the big trade where they gave up Cole Anthony and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and they got Tyus Jones, and they lost Gary Harris in free agency. I actually like the Tyus Jones addition is nice Cole Anthony replacement. I think Tyus Jones at his best is better than Cole Anthony is. And then yeah, Desmond Bane. I like that they're trying to win. And this is the time is now, right? Like they could maybe make like a crazy jump like the Rockets did in the last year, be top 3, 2 seed. And they're already like a
Yeah.
4 seed this year, but all right, I think they were a 4 seed this year. Was it 4 or 5
I
seed?
think there was a 7 seed. They
Were
dropped
they,
off.
dude, they dropped off them. Oh, you're right. Oh, they played the Celtics the first round. You're
Yeah.
right. They're 2. I mean, yeah, this team could totally get home court advantage, similar to the Pistons,
Definitely.
similar to the Hawks. So they take advantage of that time, the opportunity. So I'd give them like an A minus. I think they did what they're supposed to do. Their roster looks pretty good. Gary Harris isn't that big of a loss. He's been on the team for so many years, but he's old, and yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I'm happy with the Bane trade. I think you played a lot, but it was a guy who really fit well with your
Yeah,
roster. I think Tyus Jones might suck though. I mean, he was really bad for the Suns. I know the Suns is a
yeah,
bad situation, but it's not like offensively the Magic are a great situation either. It's fine. And then Mo Wagner, it's weird. I think they gave him a no trade clause. I don't know if that was a false report, but that's something I saw. So
that's weird.
that's a
I
weird
mean, his brother's on the team. Maybe that's why like he doesn't want to
and it's
leave.
only a 1 year deal, so I don't know
Yeah,
how that happened, but good for him, I guess. So overall, I'll give him a B plus.
I'll give them A minus. I give them A minus. I guess I'm a little
Yeah.
higher on Tyus Jones, hoping in a good situation like he could like this is similar to the Grizzlies team to me. Like it's not like that Grizzlies bench had a crazy amount of spacing or anything. He like commanded the second unit. They're really good. So a
Yeah.
lot of Tyus Jones talk on this podcast. Let's go to the Sixers. Justin Edwards. He had some promising moments last year. 3-year deal. I think that was his sophomore year last year.
Mhm.
But he looked good. And then Eric Gordon came back on a 1-year deal. And then they got Trenton Watford who left the Nets, and they lost Gershon Yabusele, which is a pretty big loss. Um, yeah, I think VJ Edgecombe is the main thing to talk about with the Sixers. He had 28 and 10 yesterday. Really impressive game against the Jazz in Summer League. Outside of that, like this team is weird. Paul George hasn't been traded. I don't know if he's a tradable contract. I don't know if they're gonna waive him. And then yeah, anything else you want to say on the Sixers?
I think the only thing they really did is I like the Justin Edwards signing, like another 3-year
Yeah.
deal for a guy who like showed promise as a rookie. I think he was a rookie. Maybe you were right. He
Was he
was
a
a second
rookie?
year player. I think he was a second year player actually, but I think it's a pretty
Second
good
year?
deal. And then
Yeah.
Watford for Yabusele, I think a little worse, but it's like at the end of the day, it's fine.
Who's a
You
rookie?
cheap. It was a rookie. Okay.
I did a really good rookie year.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah.
For a team with like not a lot of expectation or not a lot of hopes, I guess, after they lose all their best players. I think this could be a good team in the
I'm
East.
excited for
It's
it.
just
Yeah.
a wild card. You really don't know if they're going to be the best team or the worst team. They could be anywhere from 2 to 8, in my opinion. Like you really
I
don't
feel
know.
really bad for Embiid just because I feel like last year really fucked up his reputation. Like just being in and
Yeah.
out of the lineup, out of shape, and then like Paul George, obviously, but like fully healthy. Even if Paul George isn't Paul George, this team should be really good, like very decent at least with Embiid, Tyrese, and then hopefully VJ has a good rookie year. Jerry McCain coming back from injury, hopefully, but
Yeah, I give him a
we'll
C.
see.
Nothing to speak about, but the Justin Edwards signing is pretty good.
Just because of I think locking up Justin Edwards is nice after such a good year, and then VJ Edgecombe as the pick. If we're gonna take that into account, I'll give them a B.
Fair. Yeah.
Phoenix Suns. They got Colin Gillespie back. You know, the guy who ended up starting toward the end of the year with Kevin Durant. They got in the big Kevin Durant trade. They got Dylan Brooks, Jalen Green. They got Nigel Hayes. Nigel Hayes Davis is different than Nigel Hayes, or the same guy? Because Nigel Hayes
I
was
think
picked
same
like
guy.
a while like they're same guys, right? I,
I
I always
think
used to
Nigel
refer to
Hayes
him as
Davis
Nigel
is
Hayes.
the
Yeah,
EuroLeague MVP, I think, last year.
yeah, yeah. They're the same guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nigel, yes, exactly. 2017 draft. I remember this guy. But Nigel Hayes Davis signed. Hopefully, he's better now. But they got Mark Williams from the Hornets via trade. Um, I guess it's okay. The the additions they got. They obviously lost Kevin Durant, lost Tyus Jones. They waived Cody Martin, and then Vasily Micic and Mason Plumlee went to the Hornets. So I think the Suns did a decent job drafting and like these like the guys they got back for Kevin Durant, like they're trying to win games, I guess. Like it's an okay core around Booker. Like they could be a feisty 8 seed, maybe in the West. They still need a point guard, but yeah, curious to hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah. I don't hate it. I don't love it. The KD trade, I think that was what I don't know. I mean, I feel like they should have gotten more. So the fact that they didn't just kind of disappointing. But I like Malawach.
Yeah,
I just think like why trade for
yeah.
Mark Williams is kind of the confusing part because you had that
If you get
29th
it,
pick who could have given you another guy. And I also like their other draft pick. I'm blanking on his name right now.
yeah. Fleming,
Rasheed
Rasheed Fleming.
Fleming. Yeah, he was pretty good in
Yeah,
college. Um,
he is good. I saw a lot of good things about him. Yes,
so
so we'll see.
decent.
It'll be an interesting team.
I think it's a C plus.
They have a lot of like, yeah, they have a lot of like 3-4s. I feel like
They
a
have a
lot of
lot
like
of like a
big.
lot of shooting guards, a lot of centers. It's just a weird roster.
Yeah, it's a weird team. I think we'll have to see Point Book. I wonder what they're gonna do with the Beal contract too. Like Beal said he's okay going getting traded to the Lakers. Like he's fine doing that.
I
Or
think he's a guy who could get waived.
I
Legit.
hope so.
If hopefully the Lillard thing started a precedent where
Uh,
you just waive and stretch these guys, but I
All
could
right.
see it.
Blazers, not much outside of the Drew Holiday trade, which you talked about. They lost DeAndre Ayton through the buyout. They got Garrett Temple back on a 1-year deal, and they lost Anthony Simons. Anything you want to talk about? We could just move on from this. We've basically discussed the important
I
parts.
like
The
the
team looks,
deal, and
you
that was
like
all
it,
that
yeah.
happened. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna give him a B.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll give them a C.
Okay,
I
move on.
disagreed with you on the deal. We'll see what happens this year. Kings, Dennis Schroeder, they finally got their point guard after losing like God knows like De'Aaron Fox earlier, and then they're looking for a point guard for the longest time. So they got Dennis Schroeder, they got Dario Saric in that Jonas Valanciunas trade, and they lost Jake LaRavia, Jonas Valanciunas. Obviously, I give this like a C minus or a D. I just don't know what the fuck the Kings are doing. I don't know why DeMar is still on the roster. And honestly, I don't know why Sabonis is still on the roster. I don't know. I feel like they should just go all like sell high on these
Mhm.
guys and start rebuilding. They
Yeah,
got rid of Mike Brown for no reason. De'Aaron Fox is gone. And I feel like they could have gotten more value for Jonas Valanciunas. Tell me all you can get back is Dario Saric. Um, in this, like, I don't know.
yeah. So really, I didn't like their offseason at all either. D plus, I'd say. Schroeder, you're giving 3 for 45. That feels like an overpay. I feel like you could have gotten him for the mid level or like less than the mid level. It was like $10 million or
No one
something like
wanted
that.
him. Like,
Yeah.
dude, he's been traded so many times the
I mean,
last
he was
year.
good last year, right? Like I think he's a
He
serviceable
started off
player.
really well
Yeah.
and then was bad on the thing on the Warriors and then
No,
was
but for the
decent on the
Pistons, I thought he was
Pistons. He was
pretty
good on the
pretty good.
Pistons for
And then Saric,
sure.
it's like Valanciunas is willing to void his contract, but he does it for the Nuggets and not you guys. So well, you
That's
trade
hey,
Saric for a salary dump as a salary
yeah.
dump, and then the guy who you salary dump for would have just voted his contract anyway. I think that's just terrible. And then also they traded seconds for Valanciunas in the trade deadline. They traded seconds for Laravia at the trade deadline. They lose both of them in the offseason. I just think their trade deadline's a mess. Like at least keep Laravia. He was pretty good. Like, and I think you could have gone him. I think you could have retained him. And now they're looking to trade Malik Monk. It's a mess of a team. I think it's a D plus.
I
Very
agree.
bullsish.
I was gonna talk about the Malik Monk thing, right? Like I don't know what they're variables. That's
Yeah.
funny given the people they have on their team. Yeah, the Malik Monk thing is confusing. I don't know like why they're so insistent. If they're trying to win for some reason, why is Malik Monk or like if you're not trying to win anymore, why is Malik Monk the first guy you're thinking of getting rid of? You still have
Yeah.
Zach LaVine, Domantas Sabonis, and DeMar on your roster. And I just have a weird feeling they're gonna get fleeced in these trades, just like the Bulls did when trading these guys. Like we're gonna see Sabonis go for like pennies on the dollar. And it's gonna be really embarrassing. I just have a feeling. And Jake LaRavia was actually not bad either. For them. So weird. Like I don't know.
Very weird.
I don't know what they're doing. Um, yeah. San Antonio Spurs. They got Luke Cornett on a 4-year deal, and they lost Sandra Mamakulishvili. To the Raptors. So yeah, the Cornett deal is nice. They have
Yeah.
twin towers now in
I like
Wemby
their
and
draft
Cornett,
too.
and then their draft was good. Draft was excellent. Obviously, Dylan Harper. I really like Dylan Harper. I was
Carter
sad he didn't
Bryant's
play
pretty good
yesterday.
too.
Yeah,
I think he had a
not sure
decent
who
game
he is, but
yesterday.
once he plays games, I will watch.
He's a 3 and D guy.
Yeah.
Probably the best 3 and D guy in the draft, to be honest.
Hmm.
He
Do you
didn't
feel
have the
like the
best game
Spurs
though.
have too many like? Do you feel like the Spurs have too many just guys like just guys literally like guys who are like starter level, but all of them can't start, and they're also not like, and it's kind of hard to choose who to start because there's not one that's much better than another. Like if you just think about it,
Yeah.
we'll go over their roster outside of De'Aaron Fox and Wemby. They
Hmm.
have Sohan,
Vassell's gonna
Keldon
start.
Johnson, Devin Vassell. Devin Vassell's there, and then they have Dylan Harper.
Harrison
And
Barnes.
now they have this new guy, Carter Bryant, who might be good. Harrison Barnes is there, who destroyed our dreams in the regular season.
I
I don't know if
would,
you
yeah,
remember that game. That
I
was
think you have a
depressing.
solid starting lineup personally. I think you go Fox, Castle, Barnes, Vassell, and then Wemby. I think that's your starting lineup. And then
Oh, you're
all
not gonna
these
start
guys.
Sohan. Okay.
No, I don't think
You
Solom's that good personally. I don't know. Maybe I'm lower on him, but he just like not a like I think Barnes is just a better player for who fits this
you
roster.
take
And
Barnes at the 4, yeah. Yeah, you said it
yeah.
in an interesting order. I was confused. So you play
Yeah,
Vassell
my
at the
bad.
2 or
Vassell at the
3.
3.
The
Vassell at
3,
the
yeah.
3, Barnes at the
Vassell's
4.
undersized too, though, dude. Like that's a very
Yeah.
small
Castle's
starting, like
undersized
top.
too,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
but
It's you have
Wemby makes up for the height, I'd say.
De'Aaron. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I think
And I
Harrison
like
Barnes is
the
a nice
Cornet
veteran to
deal.
have on the team, but like Keldon Johnson to me is a very good player too. Like I don't know how much worse he is than Devin Vassell. Maybe just I don't know. I think he's also like a starting
He's
caliber
good, but
player. Yeah.
he's not like a winning player. He doesn't have like a he's not a shooter. He's not a great defender. He's like one of those guys who's like
Is he a
good, but
bad
like
shooter? I thought he was a decent. Actually, no. His shot has really fallen off. I feel like yeah,
yeah,
when he started his career, he was an excellent shooter. 59% from three in his rookie year.
probably like one attempt a game.
Actually, he
Honestly.
only played 17 games, so he was hurt. No, he was hurt. That's why. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah, but he averaged like 22. Like in 2021, 22, or 23, he averaged 22 on
No
45%
way.
from the field.
What?
Yeah,
He averaged 22 points a game.
I'm telling you, he's not. Yes, bro. I'm telling you, Keldon Johnson is not bad.
I'm
For
not
his
saying he's
career, he averages
bad.
16.
I'm just saying
Like
he's like
Devin
not a
Vassell
winning
averages similar
player.
numbers too, which is funny. I don't know how
Uh
like what you mean by winning player, like as if
like
Devin Vassell is
like
some crazy step up.
no, I'm not saying he is, but I think he's a much more like fit. Like Vassell can shoot, he can
He can
dribble.
shoot. He can
That's what
shoot.
matters for a team who's if you're an off-ball player, that's what matters.
Keldon
Like if you
Johnson,
could
yeah, scores in interesting ways. He's athletic.
that's the
I
thing.
like him.
I think he's good. I just
Yeah.
don't think he's like a guy who fits around stars. So he's kind of like a six-man do your own thing kind of guy.
I thought that's what Devin Vassell is too, but I know he's a shooter. I know that the shooting
Yeah, he's not
makes more
great.
sense.
I don't think Vassell's like a huge improvement. I just think he has
That's my
more
point. They
offer.
have a lot of guys who are like they're
Yeah.
good, but like that's yeah. Okay.
I did
Raptors,
want to say one thing
oh
about the
yeah, go
Spurs
ahead.
though. Chris Paul, like, free agent for them, but he announced that this is going to be his
Yeah.
last year,
If
or
that. He said this is
rumored.
the like he said
Yeah.
like this might he made it seem like he'd retire mid-season or some shit like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's not coming back. He's definitely leaving to the
Yes.
Clippers or like somewhere. He said. Um, he wants to be like a starter on whatever team he's on though, which is weird. Maybe they'll go to the
I
Suns.
Yeah, that's a weird. Yeah, I think
It's a
Suns
weird
could be
ask.
a good fit. Maybe the
Yeah.
Lakers.
Okay. Lakers. Would he start on the Lakers?
No.
No, right? He can't start like Luca. Like I mean, you can't play Luca at the. Yeah, I don't think you'd do that. Okay, let's continue. The Jazz, not Jazz, the Raptors. Jakob Poeltl 4-year extension, and they gained Sandro Mamukelashvili, 2-year deal.
Another team. What are you doing? Like, I just don't
Yeah,
get it. 4 for 104 for Jakob Poeltl.
they
That
really
is
like
Miles
Jakob
Turner
though.
money. That he's
Yeah,
a good player, but he's probably worth like 17, 18 million dollars, not 20,
if that,
25,
yeah.
26. That's pretty absurd to me. They just like really, yeah, exactly. They really like him. They traded Kawhi for him, and then they just keep bringing him back, spending more assets, paying him a lot of money. Good for him. He's solid, but like he's just he's being paid like he's like a top 15 big. I don't think he's there. Like not really to me. Like if he
He
was
had a really
Ivica
good year
Zubac,
last year though. Like he was good. Like
yeah, if he was like Ivica Zubac, I'd pay him this money. But like if he's but who he is now, I just don't think he's worth that much.
yeah,
Especially for
he's an
this team
excellent
that's already in
defender.
the first apron, who doesn't
No,
have
this team
money
is
to work.
ass. That's the
Yeah.
problem. Like this team is so bad. I don't know why you're paying guys this much.
Exactly. They keep, I think I saw a tweet like everyone on their starting lineup is overpaid, and I agree. Like
Yeah, that's
Scotty's
probably true.
overpaid, Quickly's overpaid,
Quickly is Ingram.
RJ's maybe the closest, but Ingram's overpaid. Um, yeah, it's just like a very weird team. And then they keep getting 6'9" forwards. They got Mamu
They
Kalishvili,
want
another
Ben
6'9"
Simmons now
forward.
too,
Colin
bro.
Murray Boyles, their rookie, another 6'9" forward. Like I just don't weird roster construction.
And they used to have Pascal
They
too and
lost
OG.
Masai Ujiri too. And then
Yeah.
that's
Lost.
something
I don't
like
know if they got rid of him or how it went.
it was like I think it was mutual,
Mutual
like part
parting of
ways.
ways. That's how they say
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Okay. Let's go to the Jazz. The last two
Oh,
teams.
I wanted to give the Raptors like a
Oh, I'm
D.
sorry. Yes, please. Yeah, I give them a D as well. Yeah. Spurs, I give like a B minus, just because the draft I liked it. And
Yeah,
then
fair.
Jazz, they got Yusuf Nurkic, and then they waived Johnny Juzang, which is kind of sad. They traded Colin Sexton, and they did a buyout with Jordan Clarkson. Apparently, there was no interest for Jordan Clarkson,
Yeah.
which is weird.
Another
Very
team
unexpected.
like the what was the team you're talking about that keeps just holding on to assets and then the Bulls, yeah. Another team like the
Yeah,
Bulls that just like keeps holding on to their guys until they
and
lose
the
all their
Kings.
value,
Yeah.
and the Kings. Until they lose all their value, and then they just eventually just like get them for they had to spend a second on Sexton, and then they had to buy out Clarkson. Like these were guys in a couple years ago you could have gotten like second round or first round picks even for them. They do this every time. Just, I don't know, bad asset management in my opinion.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, the Jazz like I they just didn't get much value back for Sexton either. I'm just surprised that like you're telling me Yusuf Nurkic is all you could get back from it expiring. So yeah, I give them like a D. Like yeah,
I
Ace
like
Bailey was a
their
fine
yeah,
pick, I guess, but
I like their draft. I like Walter Clayton and Ace Bailey's like just fun.
we'll see. I don't know anything about Walter Clayton, but Ace Bailey is like eh. Um, we'll see.
All right, last team.
Okay, let's close. Wow, a lot to talk about with the Wizards. They didn't re-sign anyone, but they did trade for CJ McCollum when they traded Jordan Poole. Dylan Jones from the Thunder. They got Kelly Olynyk, and they got Cam Whitmore, which is a nice trade for them. They also lost Sadiq Bey, Anthony Gill, who they waived, and then Jordan Poole via trade. Um, Wizards are at least trying to build like a competent roster with some young guys. Like they have a decent young guys. I don't know if these young guys are actually going to pan out, but they have some decent young guys, and they have some veterans like Marcus Smart, Chris Middleton, CJ McCollum. Yeah, like 5 years ago, this team was great,
Yeah.
but
These are
like
like 85 overalls in 2K.
dead ass, yeah.
Yeah.
So
CJ had a good year, so I
I'm
think he's
just
a
trying to
pretty
think about what
solid
this like. What's
starter.
the alternative? It would just be like keeping Jordan Poole and Sadiq Bey.
Yeah,
Like
I
I don't
don't
know. I
mind
think
it.
it's
I mean,
fine.
like if you're a team that like wants a solid point guard, I think CJ
Yeah.
serves them a lot better than Jordan Poole did. He had a really good shooting year last year, and then I like the fact that they keep taking swings on young talent. Well, Dylan Jones,
Yeah.
Cam Whitmore. I like their pick in Trey Johnson. I think that was probably like I really like that pick, honestly. And then they also got Will Riley. I don't know a ton about that guy, but 3-and-D wing, another 3-and-D like forward.
Yeah,
So
I guess
solid team.
this might be like like somewhat similar to the Blazers situation. Like I know the Wizards haven't shown as much promise
What?
as the Blazers have, just because like think about it like this: the Blazers have like 90% young talent and they add 10% in Drew Holiday as their veteran. In this case, they have like 50% young talent and then 50% being like veteran talent.
But they have
And
good young
I don't know,
the
I could
Blazers have good young talent.
hey, they have Bilal and like Corey Kispert is still there, and they have Alex Sarr,
Yeah, but this is
I
way,
guess.
way back in the
Yeah, they're
timeline
more
when compared
developed.
to
Those
the
guys are
past.
more
Yeah.
developed young talent. But I don't know. I think should make a bet about the Wizards over under.
I'm not doing the Wizards. If we're comparing the Wizards and the Blazers, I'd be down.
Okay, you think like how many wins um
At least
what's the word?
15.
You think they're getting 15 more wins?
Yeah. I think CJ McCollum's probably the only vet who actually plays minutes for them.
You don't think Chris Middleton's gonna play minutes
Dude, he's been
for them?
hurt. I think they just like want to rest him and
Wait,
trade
I
and
would
get his
love
value.
this. Wait, I would be so down to take the 15 is a lot. I will gladly take that.
How many wins did they get last year? Like 17 wins?
Yeah, but that was with the shit. Like they got like three like winning players, and you'd assume Alex Sarr is gonna take a leap. Hopefully, Corey
Yeah.
Kispert was good last year, and then you'd also think their other rookies are gonna take leaps. Like what's his name? I totally forgot his fucking name. I mean Bub Carrington, but I'm thinking of the other guy.
There was a 18 win difference last year. I think they could
Who's
keep
Jazz Dude's brother? Who's
that.
Jazz Dude's brother? I can't believe I'm blanking on his name. Oh, Keyshawn George. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
They
I
are
was
not
thinking
brothers.
Keontae's brother.
Are
They're
they?
not brothers?
I don't think
Their
so.
names are so similar. Are you serious?
I don't think so.
Wait, that's racist. Okay.
Yeah, they're not brothers, dude.
Fuck. I was sure they were brothers. That's crazy. Okay.
Yeah, anyways. I like their offseason. I'd give them a B plus.
Okay. Yeah. I'd also give them B plus. I mean, yeah, I think I will gladly take that bet actually.
15? All right,
Yeah,
I'm down for
within
it.
15. The line is So I think they'll be 15. So I guess I'm saying they'll be 15 or more. Within 15 or less games, I mean.
No, I'm saying 15 or more, not so 14 or less.
Okay,
Let's go
fine,
there.
whatever. Fine.
15's the
14.
line. Yeah.
All right, fine. 14 or more of the thing. Yeah, I'm down for that.
All right.
All right. Well, that's it for us. Anything else you want to talk about? The fact that there's a 7-team deal, first in NBA
Yeah.
history, whatever.
We talked about most of the deals involved in
Yeah, we
that.
really did. We talked about it a lot. But yeah. All right. Well, thanks so much for listening to the Change of Pace podcast. Feel free to follow us on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Spotify. Of course, give us 5 stars. And we'll be back at you soon with another episode covering the offseason. Thanks for listening.